Recording has started. Has it started yet? That would be funny, because we were already on Google Chrome, I think.
Welcome to Cosmic Comics for Friday Night Magic. I'm Kagan.
And I'm Deep.
And we are here for, I believe, is it 4 rounds top 8 tonight?
5.
5 rounds.
5
so,
rounds.
yeah, a little bigger than the last few we've had.
Yes.
And so, let's see, you're taking a little break from Standard tonight to join us.
I don't actually have a deck, so that's our little problem.
And that's one of those things that's going to segue into our first match, because the Esper deck we've been seeing you play so much is being played by your brother Baldeep today.
Yes, it's actually his deck, so I don't have, even though he's younger than me, I don't actually have much say. Especially when my parents are there.
Exactly, it's the parents like, play nice, let them use your deck.
Honestly, they would rather us just not come at all. So.
Well, I'm glad you're defying that. All right, so let's see, so we'll be getting into our first match here.
Yeah.
And so, again, we said that Baldeep is playing that Esper mid-range deck.
With very cool sleeves. I very much adore those sleeves. Let's go with that.
The Gur Animal brand of sleeves there?
Pandas. Because if we ever come back to Kamigawa block, I'm prepared.
Exactly. I don't think there were any pandas in the original Kamigawa block.
Which is a travesty.
It is. And so, Baldeep is going to be playing against Tristan, who I believe is playing green-red, sort of beat-down giant growths enchantments.
I think there's some gutter snipes and stuff, like giant growth, so it'd be interesting to see how that works out.
Yes. And so we see the first play is the turn 2 Soldier of Pantheon from Baldeep.
A little slow, especially with the Mutavault there, and another soldier in hand, so that's a little awkward, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Mutavault's too good.
Exactly. He's still gonna have, 4 power this coming up turn, as an Elvish Mystic is played on Tristan's side.
That's a pretty good start. It's shame that came out turn 2, but I guess Baldeep also played this card on turn 2, so they kind of time walked each other, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, so we see Baldeep coming in with just the soldier.
Yeah.
So that other soldier of Pantheon. So
yep.
So that was that a Hollow Fountain that Baldeep had played?
No, that is a temple.
Okay.
The temple. So.
I do see an untapped land in his hand. Do you?
I think that's Nefara.
Okay, I thought I saw an island. Oh, I saw Detention Sphere.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like if you have the untapped land here, you want to get that extra 2 damage in.
Yeah, so a Magma Jet.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we see the Magma Jet taking out one of those soldiers. And then the Scry 2.
And he's just pointing out he took a hit from Soldier the previous turn, and that was
Yeah, they just hadn't marked it down with the dice.
So I think Baldeep's actually pretty happy about this exchange, using his whole turn essentially to play that, and I guess setting up his next turn as well. But using 2 mana to kill a 1 mana threat is a good exchange for Baldeep there.
And the thing is, the soldier in a lot of decks can be a little more difficult to kill because a lot of their removal is multicolor.
Yeah. But the deck the soldier is very weak against is green, so I think just getting anything off that value off that soldier is very good for him.
Yeah, it also tells you about the strength of Tristan's hand as well.
Yeah.
Is that besides just killing the creature, it's giving him the ability of, I have all this mana, but I really need to find the thing that's going to let me use all this mana.
Yeah, I think he can just delay, because he does have, I think, 5 mana, possibly 6 mana the next turn, and there's a lot of things you can do with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we see a Bremos coming down for Baldeep as well to really ratchet up the pressure now. And that's the thing, with the soldier, Bremos' token, and that Mutavault, that's quite a bit of aggression that will be shown.
Yeah, and it looks like Tristan there played another mana elf, which is not what you want to do when you already have 6 mana in play.
Exactly, and that's one of the things. Oh, we see Gutter Snipe coming down, which does actually pose a legitimate threat.
Right, if he has like a giant growth in hand, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
being able to kill the Bremos with the growth and take Baldeep taking 2 damage there.
Now, not knowing this deck, do you think that you'd still attack with Bremos anyway?
Yes, I would attack. I think the goal of this Esper Humans list is just distract your opponent until you get 5 mana and play opposite that. So as long as if Tristan uses resources to kill these cards, that's less resources to deal with opposite that, which can just win a game. So
yeah, the problem with Bremos attacking, if he has a pump spell, is that he's still going to lose Bremos and not kill Gutter Snipe.
That is an issue, but I don't think you can really put him on Giant Growth. That's not a card you normally see, but I guess Gutter Snipe isn't either.
Exactly. And the Gutter Snipe's telling you that he's going to be playing a bunch of spells, and there's that Giant Growth.
And then, that's a good top deck right there, because I don't think he had that in the beginning of his last turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing, is because we knew he did have the Detention Sphere in his hand as well, so Yeah, he did have that option, but he opted to. He could tell that Tristan was setting something up, and so he got a little extra value out of that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be putting Tristan down to 13 now.
Yeah, now it looks really good for Baldeep here.
Yeah, I see a daring Skyjet along with that detention sphere.
So if Tristan doesn't do anything, he'll just animate that Mutavault and start swinging. And if he does something, he's got the detention sphere to answer.
Exactly, yeah. Any big threat was just going to get detention sphere here.
He's going to go Ashiok.
Exactly. The card that has profounded many a person who's watched it yet seems to always work out for you every time.
Don't underestimate Ashiok, especially in a deck with a lot of big green creatures.
Yeah. And
Okay.
So he's getting the 1/1 for red-green that taps to add a green mana and deals a damage.
Which is actually, it's not bad because he is a little stuck on his mana, but it is going to come in with Summoning Sickness, so it's not going to immediately help him there.
Yeah, so do you think... And that's the thing is, Baldeep's also in complete control of this game. So do you think that next turn with Ashiok... Oh, we see the same play now with the Elvish Mystic.
I don't think the... I don't think the Mystic dies.
Yeah, the Mystic shouldn't have died there because there's a 4/4 block and a 3/4.
3/4. Yeah, I think they're figuring that out right now.
Yeah, because he might have thought that the token just attacks with it.
Mm-hmm. If I were Tristan, I think I would also block the Soldier at this point. I think you have enough mana.
Yeah, that is a good consideration as well. Like it could, like again, we don't know what he's ratcheting up to.
That's true.
And so we see him tapping out for 6 here.
6.
And
I think that's only 5 mana, isn't it?
Yeah, that is only 5 mana. Yeah, it's the Centaur who gets +3/+3 whenever he's heroic, which, as we can see with Giant Growth.
With Giant Growth and Gutter Sniper, you can see the allure to this.
Yeah, there's some synergies.
Some nice synergies.
Yeah, if you're even desperate, you can even Magma Jet your own guy because he's a 3/3.
Yes.
So it gives he gains 1 toughness for that turn when you do it. And then it's 3 permanently. We see that obviously again instantly detention sphere.
Yep.
And so it looks like, they correct that, and the Elvish Mystic was left untapped.
Those cats should be untapped, I believe.
Yeah,
they do have vigilance.
Yeah, they do have vigilance.
He's going to play he's going to plus the Ashiok. I like that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
And he hits the Arbor Colossus.
Yeah,
see, that's why Ashiok is good.
Yeah, and there are 2 good reasons to do that. Is one, you want a better creature than that.
Yeah.
And secondly, you don't really know what's going on in Tristan's deck.
Yes, you do get some information there.
Yeah, and that's kind of the hidden value, because we talk about a lot of tempo value, mana value. We don't talk about information value. And that's one of the things that makes, for instance, Thoughtseize so valuable.
Yeah.
Is that you get to get rid of their cards, but you also know their entire plan.
Right.
So we see a Shock taking down Soldier Pantheon. And this is a hard position to come back with. We see the Farah in hand now for Baldeep as well, which is going to help him exasperate his advantage.
Yeah, it's looking good. If he has nothing to do, he could just animate both Mutavaults, but that is a little risky, but...
Yeah, I mean, your opponent's at 5 and he has...
But I believe
1 of any color and then 4 green.
He's going to play that Afara, get that Colossus, and then on top of that, I'll draw a card off the Afara for the Colossus entering the battlefield.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty strong line.
And that is a lot of value. And that's what the deck's built for.
Yeah, sadly, we probably won't be seeing this Colossus monstrous in Baldeep's deck. But
he does have 1 Druid.
Exactly. If this game goes super long, he can work towards getting those 3 green that he need the monstrous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we see Tristan continuing to look for a way out here. And trying to think of anything concealable, because an overloaded Mizium Mortars doesn't do it.
No.
We treat a Troll Hide on
that. I think that delays it 1 more turn, unless Afara is active.
Afara is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she needs 2 more?
2 more. So if he's able to animate the Afara, I think that is going to be the game. Or actually, I think he can delay for another turn. Yeah. But he would lose the Troll Hide in the process, really giving him nothing on board.
Yep, so you can chump for a turn, but you're still going so far behind, and he's giving up more information, like
Chandra's Phoenix. It's nice to know that he has that.
In this situation where you know you're dead, sometimes it is important to just concede on the I'm going to get more information.
Yeah.
Because you're already in a place where you're not going to win.
Right.
Keep as many secrets as you can. And that's one of the big advantages of playing a more rogue-style deck where people don't know what you're doing.
And no, that Chandra's Phoenix is a big...
indication.
It's good for him, it's good for Baldeep to know, because now he might want to save those detention spheres in order to deal with those, because...
Yeah, and I don't know, did you see, it looks like the cats are coming in.
Yeah, I think you just go with him with everything.
Yeah, and so drawing the card off of the Daring Skyjack.
Yeah. I think he drew a Precinct Captain, but I don't know if much matters. I think this game is pretty much over.
Exactly, yeah, it's just being played out. And you see that Tristan's pretty much just drawing lands off the top anyway. He's empty-handed in the situation. And that Daring Skyjack's even going to have flying.
Right.
So that Skyjack by itself, just battalioning, is going to be lethal here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think Baldeep, just again for that information, should definitely Ashiok one more time just to get that last little bit of information.
See if he does that.
Yeah, and you see Afara becomes alive as well, as do the Beautivolts.
So this is, he does do it. Oh no, he plays the Phoenix.
Baldeep, I think, is just letting him know he's dead.
That is overkill.
You've clearly been dead for 3 turns or so. I'm going to make you really dead. No questions about it.
Yes, that was
that was no cards in hand. Like, you're not playing around anything by having everything attack.
Magic. Top decking. Never want to top deck.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hard thing. Because you see on Tristan's deck that it's a lot of cheap spells. And they can get you, like, short-term incremental advantages.
Right.
But I didn't see him building from those incremental advantages to a mid-late game.
Right.
Because that's the thing, is you want to be able to create that advantage, stale the board, and then Polychronos.
Yeah.
Or something else that's going to get, Xenago. Something that's going to give you mid-range game and make it so that when you get into a later game, you're not, playing giant growths on Elvish Mystics.
That was the problem there. Tristan kept on drawing those 1-mana spells when he really wanted something that was about 6 mana to use all that mana.
Yeah, we saw the Arbor Colossus, which does a decent job of that as well.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, so, let's see. So I know you know the side board for the Esper deck pretty well.
Right.
What are your thoughts of what would you be putting in this situation?
I would bring in Sin Collector because it seems like he has a lot of instant sorceries.
Yeah, with the Magma Jets, the giant growths. We saw Lightning Strike, I believe, as well.
Right. I would also bring in some Doomblades because Doomblade against green decks is usually good.
Yeah, because we already saw how big of a deal that ultimate price was getting, the 2-for-1.
And then I'm not sure. I don't like Soldierhood Pantheon, and maybe you just bring in Thoughtseize over those just to know what's happening.
Yeah, so that you take away the trick in the early game.
Yeah.
And that way your mid-game with your Obsidettes and your Blood Barons or your Elsbeths are so much more powerful.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we'll see if Baldeep prescribes what you're saying. And I know that, so we'll go into that game, and I know that we talked about before in one of the matches where we kind of questioned whether or not you should keep in Soldier of the Pantheon, and we discussed that you just didn't have anything to replace the Soldier of the Pantheon.
No, I did not. There are actually also one thing you should sideboard in. There's some more Banisher Priests. Because Banisher, it's not that good because Tristan does have the Magma Jets.
Yeah.
But if you have it in combination with Sin Collector, you're able to get rid of the Magma Jet, and then the Priest is able to stay.
Or even think about if they go Arbor Colossus Monstrous it.
Yeah.
If you banish a Priest and they kill it, they still have to re-Monstrous it.
Right. And that's probably their turn, Monstrous-ing that Colossus anyways, so that's a lot of tempo you gain.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see how Game 2 is going to go for us.
From Tristan, I think I would just want to hit my big threat.
Yeah, we can see an Obsidat and some wonkish, not the greatest mana in Baldeep's hand. I see the blue-black Scryland. I saw another Scryland and a Mutavault.
His hand looks okay. It's got a soldier, so he didn't.
It's the black-blue Scryland was the other land.
Yeah.
So he can't cast the Bremaz in his hand turn 3 right now unless he draws a white source.
There are plenty of those in the deck, though, so there's a chance. And did he scry to the bottom?
I believe he put it on top.
So it's probably a white source.
Yeah, it's very likely. And so we see the classic turn 1 Elvish Mystic into turn 2 2 Elvish Mystics.
Well, he kept a Detention Sphere on top, and that looks like it's going to pay off.
Yeah, it's the dream that we dare not actually live. And so that Soldier of Pantheon coming in as well. And you can see it, he is definitely being warded off by a wall of elves.
Yeah.
But so we see, this is the turn 3 6 mana turn.
Garrick would be nice. I don't know if Tristan runs those in his decks because his deck is not as monster heavy as some of the other green decks.
But even if we just see the Arbor Colossus, that's going to be a big impact on this game.
It will be.
And we see it's a Mistcutter Hydra for 5.
That's a good move.
So I think we definitely still have, it's Pro Blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can't even Detention Sphere that next turn.
That is a problem. He's going to, but I think he
gets the elves.
He can't. I taught him well. He does not bypass the value. play.
Yeah. Well, I think they're discussing whether or not you can target Mist Cutter with that as well.
I'm pretty sure Baldeep knows this. I hope he does.
Yeah, but it's good for both players to be aware of that as well.
Yes. I'm pretty sure they. Yeah.
So he takes the 3 elves.
Yeah.
And so we see whether the soldier's going to come in or get a little chump. Because we know there's an Obsidat and a Brimaz in hand as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like he actually did. Oh, looks like he did draw a white Scryland, so that's probably what he kept on top.
Yeah, but that's still going to delay the Brimaz for another turn.
Absolutely. Alright, so yeah, he looks like he's just opting the chump because he knows his mid-range.
He's going to go with the Magma Jet.
Yep. But I think that's drawing out that Magma Jet is a lot better than just you know, doing 2 damage.
Yeah, definitely.
And so yeah, we see 1 on top and 1 on bottom for Tristan.
Mm-hmm. And he does not attack.
Yep. Yeah, that is interesting.
That's interesting.
The no attack.
I don't know what he's afraid of. I don't think the Esper mid-range deck play anything with haste.
That's true. And he's ahead on life.
Yeah. So that's an interesting play.
That is. We may never know. Let's see. So we're going to be seeing
The Manawal Sliver.
Yep. So that's going to give him a little more versatility with his
He's
mana.
going to 10.
Yeah, and so we're going to be seeing
And then there's a Doomblade.
So that was right on time to deal with this Hydra.
I think he's going to play the Brimaz and then the Doomblade.
Yeah, and lure him into the Doomblade.
So it'd be interesting to see if Tristan has something like a Ranger's Guile in hand.
Yeah.
That could potentially be a big blowout, but no.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, because I think there's 2 trains of thought here. You can either make sure that you immediately kill the Hydra, or what you can do is you can wait a turn, let it go through, and then see if he tries to use a pump spell to make it bigger to try to get the 2-fold.
Yeah.
But he went with definitely the safer play of giving him 1 less card to draw for a Ranger's Guile, for instance.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going to be seeing
Gutter Snipe.
Yeah, he pump faked on the Mist Cutter
I think he did that because the Hydra would have only been a 3/3, and that's not really a very productive turn.
Yeah, the Brimaz being a 3/4 makes that not really effectively do anything.
Yeah. And
but the Gutter Snipe is great in this situation because now you don't have to fight your way through Brimaz to get the damage through.
So I think he's afraid of a combat trick. That would be the only explanation for him not blocking that 1/1 soldier token, or the cat.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, there's an argument of his way to win the game right now is Gutter Snipe.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't want there to be anything that's going to make him lose that Gutter Snipe. And it's a little overcautious, but I definitely understand why he's doing it. We're seeing this is probably going to be the 4/4 Mist Cutter Hydra now.
4/4.
Yep. So that'll hold off Brimaz a little bit now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things that you're pointing out, I guess it doesn't make a difference because I was thinking about Battalion. Oh no, that does because the token doesn't trigger Battalion.
Yeah.
It comes in the.
And is he's gonna double block there? If I'm him, I think I just block with the Vigilant Cat.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't need that 1/1. It's not going to get through in the future.
But I guess this also gives him another 1/1, and I'll keep Battalion on. But is your losing your Brimaz really worth that?
Yeah, and we have. So he has tapped out here as well. So it's safe-ish.
Yes.
You know that he's not having any other spells, but I mean, just losing Brimaz here doesn't feel good.
Yeah, if you look at Bully's hand, he does have an Elspeth, so if he can just hold out for another land, he can just minus through the Elspeth to get rid of that.
Yeah, I think, you know what the card that he's definitely playing around that I like here, though, is? I think Overloaded Mizium Mortars is a huge blowout.
Yeah.
I think that's a good reason to get that Mist Cutter Hydra off the board.
All right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because that would be 5 and then 2 plus the Gutter Snipe, so they'd be at 3 automatically just from that.
So we block this time with the Gutter Snipe. And yeah.
So it looks like, I figured it out.
Yeah.
And that's going to also turn off, or it'll require Mutavaults to come in to make a battalion.
No, I think he's just going to slam an Elspeth. And
yeah. Elsbeth also makes battalions. one turn at a time, battalions.
Elspeth does a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, with 1 card in hand and drawing 1 card, that's probably not going to be enough to do 10 damage here. And there's not much surviving after this. And so I say Titanic Strength, I believe.
You mean Titan Strength?
Titan Strength. Yeah, I can't see quite the other card. Oh, it's the 3/3 that gets the
Battle
3/3
Master.
counters. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is he doesn't even have enough to Battle Master and Titanic strength.
Yeah. He's gonna play the Battle Master.
Yeah, and I mean he gets to block a 1/1 with Gutter Snipe, like a one. So he's taking a total of 5 here.
Yeah. That's what it looks
So
like.
I mean that's not bad. You go to 7.
Baldeep does have 2 detention spheres, so he could consider detention sphering one of them.
At this point, I think you can detention sphere one of them, and then just detention sphere your soldiers. It probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think he detention sphere, or he can just slam knobs of that, and that does things too.
Yeah. You're guaranteed 3 flying here.
Yeah.
And you're gonna. Yeah, it's tricky because you didn't differentiate the 3 that were summoning sick and the 3 that aren't on the soldiers.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's basically getting in for 5, and then 2 more makes it 7. So.
Or I think he's just attacking with a 3/1, and possibly just he's okay trading it for the Battle Master, which is fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but you have, and that again plays around overloaded Mizium mortars, but that's only if you remove Obsidat, because if you don't remove Obsidat there, then overloaded Mizium mortars.
Yeah, Obsidat can just quickly clean the game up.
Yep. But yeah, the thing is, yeah, with 7 1/1s blocking here, it's gonna take an Electrickery or some big splashy removal spell to keep this going.
Electrickery would be very nice here.
Yeah, I think, yeah, with
Giant
Electrickery and Titan.
Titan Strength.
So, yeah, the problem is all these blockers.
Yeah.
So no matter how big that guy is, a 1/1 just stops him.
None of them have any form of evasion, I believe. So, just I think he'll just chomp 1/1 and.
Yeah, and then crack back for the lethal.
Yeah, with Obsidat coming back, or. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like that'll be the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they forgot to put the counters onto the Battle Master. So that's one of the things that the Battle Master does. They both survive because they both were pumped pre-combat.
Yeah. But the Battle Master just gets even more counters. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a huge guy, but being huge isn't the same as killing people.
Nah.
And so we see Obsidat coming in and taking Tristan down to 5.
The question is, will Baldeep activate those needle pops? Because I guess he likes very flary attacks.
Exactly.
And the game.
Yeah, this is again a no cards in hand situation. So you're free to put everything that you can into this attack, and he is.
Yeah.
So we see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. More creatures than I can count currently swinging into Tristan.
I will count them first. There's 9 of them.
Okay. I'm assuming those 9 creatures are probably doing at least 5 damage, and we see the handshake.
I would hope them. Yeah, I hope they would.
Yeah, so... Yeah, it's an interesting match. There were some interesting concepts in Tristan's deck, I think. I think just the more time you spend with it, it's flushing out some of those things that would be coming.
Like there's some interesting synergies and there's some potential there. I think what he needs to do is find a way to generate some extra card draw. Like Magma Jet's a good way to start, but that's not really advantage, it's just filtering.
Yeah, and I think there's better ways to utilize your heroic than the Centaur.
Right, but I think those are mostly offered in white. I don't know if green really has many good heroic creatures.
I'm trying to think. So there's the 1-drop that you can pay X whenever
that one's
you heroic.
pretty good.
I think that's definitely better.
That's definitely
and it's just a 1/1 for 1, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
So you can start off, little tiny beats.
No, I think that's perfect for his deck because he does get a lot of mana, so that thing could become like a
exactly.
15/15 in like 2 turns. So.
Yeah, and it makes the tricks even more ridiculous. Is that,
yeah.
Your biggest of your big could be Swingman. We could see some of Dane's Revered Hunters.
Yeah.
One of those could come in and lose the battle.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was interesting to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the pure power of being able to muck up the board entirely is what really did it for Baldeep.
That just showcases the pure power of Mythic Rares.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, the difference between playing a deck with Mythic Rares and when you're playing with commons and uncommons.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was round 2, so that's going to put Baldeep into the 3-0?
That was round 2.
2-0.
2-0.
Yeah, so we are going to round 3 now, though.
Yeah.
And we're going to be seeing...
Rosie Crow versus Nick Delaney.
And so this is going to be one of those attrition matches because it's Jund versus Jund. And I believe they're both on more control style than mid-range as well.
Right.
So yeah, these are just a bunch of removal and getting value out of your planeswalkers.
That is what I like to do. So.
And your coursers of Crewfix. Like
Yes.
We've talked about this before, is that courser of Crewfix is the heart and soul of this deck of keeping you alive, getting you card advantage, and just being good
Yes,
on defense.
Courser makes 3-color decks possible. Before Born of the Gods, it was hard to be a 3-color deck until Courser Crewfix came out.
Yeah, because you didn't have Courser and you didn't have nearly as many Scrylands as well.
You might as well be playing mono black because the only advantage available was connections. So.
Yeah, and we've seen that Rosie and Nick have mirrored each other,
Yes.
both playing the red-green Scryland.
Right.
And so we see Nick Delaney with the full Jund colors now.
Nick changing his deck from last week. He's gone to more controlling version, dropping Domri Rod, or is it Rade? I don't know.
Well, I call him Rade because there's an old Magic Pro named Ale Rade.
Okay.
So it's spelled the same way, so it might be Scandinavian,
Okay,
Planeswalker.
we'll call him Rade for you then.
Alright.
Okay, so he dropped that. He dropped Stormbreath out of the main, and he made it more of a controlling deck.
Yep, and
Which, yep.
so we see Rosie has put down the Carry did, and that's matched by Nick Delaney's
Yeah.
Scavenger News, which is very powerful in this matchup.
Right now, though, Rosie is ahead because on turn 2, Caryatid is much better than the Scavenger.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scavenger Ooze is one of those cards that it's a 2-drop, but you don't play it for 2. It's really for
yes.
the mid game.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, so you want to play it with a few green ups so that your 2/2's a 3/3, a 4/4.
But when you need a 2/2 on turn 2, he's your guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Sometimes Grizzly Bear is all you need.
Right, especially if you're playing an aggro deck. It's pretty good.
So we see
Thoughtseize.
Rosie Thoughtseize, and we see Mizium Mortars, the two coursers.
Abrupt. Yeah, you just take that. That's it. That's the card.
So, and I think a big reason why we see that as well is 2 coursers are bad news, but we don't see double green yet for Nick, so he can't cast either of those coursers.
Yes, that's true. But the other thing is, the Jund deck plays a lot of removal. A 2/4 with virtually no actual protection against removal spells. I'm pretty sure Rosie has Abrupt Decay until Abrupt Decay this at the end of the turn. That's my guess.
Yeah, we saw Nick was able to get the Stomping Ground and shock himself to get that courser out. But one of the unintended consequences that I'm sure Rosie was thinking about as well is if you take the courser with the Thoughtseize, you immediately get to Scavenger News it.
Yeah, that is actually, that could play a factor because you don't want to waste your removal on the Scavenging Ooze unless you have to.
Exactly, and then your Carry did can't play blocks anymore.
Right.
Although, to be fair, as things worked out, there's Courser in the graveyard.
Who called it? Abrupt Decay?
Yep.
No. And whose turn is this? I think it's Rosie?
I believe it's Rosie's.
I think she has a Vraska in hand and she could just slam that, but I'm not a fan of that because Ooze is really not a threat.
Yeah, because I think she has to. Yeah, I think she had the option of Stomping Grounding and Shocking Vraska.
Well, the shocks are not a big deal in this matchup. Life total, Courser can gain it all back.
She's not on Courser yet, though, so you can see that is going to be the Ooze is going to be able to get through that Carry did, and so it puts Rosie on the defensive.
Yes.
And you can see that Nick is hoping that she won't notice that there's a creature in the graveyard and get the block pump. Looks like, she comes in for 2, and the second Courser comes down.
And then you see a Reaper of the Wilds, which...
great in this matchup, because it both can protect itself from removal, and it doesn't matter who killed the creature, you get to scry.
And there's the Courser. That's what these matchups are about.
Yeah, this is what...
And that's big.
Yeah,
Connection to Courser.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is this matchup is all going to be about card value. The person who effectively draws the most cards is going to win this game.
Right.
And so, like, the Coursers and the Underworld connections are the keys here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Reaper is, pseudo draw, where it's filtering away the cards that you don't want to draw anyway, which are as good as draws.
Looking back on it, I think Rosie should have played that Vraska because she has nothing else to do with her mana that turn, really.
Yeah, because floating the 2, Did you see if she had possibly another Abrupt Decay in hand?
No.
Okay.
That
she
Courser
could be
would
bluffing
be dead.
it, though.
Courser would be dead if there was another Abrupt Decay.
That's true. There is always the bluff as well.
There's a Mizium Mortar.
Yep. And so, that Mizium Mortars is, again, because we're seeing that they're fighting over that Coursers because it's so important in the matchup.
Yeah.
And I think that shows a good understanding by both players of knowing what the problems are.
Yeah.
With Rosie, immediately slamming that Rakdos return, because again, that's that. You need to have the most effective cards.
It's effectively Sphinx's Revelation in
this. Sphinx's Revelation in reverse.
Yes.
Which is more powerful even than Sphinx's Revelation in this match, I believe.
Yeah.
I think you'd rather have Rakdos return than Sphinx if mana weren't an issue.
Well, you would just win, so I would.
Yeah. They both just win. One of them wins more directly and, neuters your opponent while you're winning.
Right. Rakdos return, and then I think we're going to see the Vraska.
Yeah, the Vraska, and I assume that's going to go right to that courser.
I think
The ooze is getting,
Out of
large, but I don't think it's out of control yet.
but she does take care of
She
the Scam News.
And I think, again, like we were talking about the value, and I just think that when you're fighting a value game, I mean, I guess she is at 11, so there is a place to stabilize, and then you're able
Yeah.
to block with your carry did again.
Yeah.
And Vraska on
2 loyalty.
2. So that was
That's a
dead
good,
Vraska.
very good play by Nick right there, because
Yeah.
Vraska's huge in these mid-range games. You normally have to 2-for-1 yourself to deal with it, and being able to just 1-for-1 is very nice there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially when it starts protecting itself, where you can kill it, but it is going to cost every creature that killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Gorgon's vengeance there of turning its murderers to stone.
Oh yeah.
So we see a good amount of mana going down for another carry did.
Yeah, that's just power Corsair, letting Nick know the carry tip is on top, and then deploying his Scryland. I think he patiently waiting to play that Scryland to get the most value out of it, and that's what this matchup comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. So every card that you get is going to be the difference between winning and
Yeah,
losing.
the cards in these decks are quite powerful.
And we can see that because Nick's definitely had Corsair online more, is that his mana is a little more healthy.
Yeah, but
It's very close, but yeah, I think Nick has a slight advantage in cards in hand. And with the aggression that he put on as well, that Underworld Connections becomes a lot less effective.
yeah,
And we know that one of the Corsairs is already out, so she needs to draw Corsair ASAP.
yeah.
And I see a Xenagos in her hand as
That's
well.
actually pretty good, because Nick doesn't have that Hero's Downfall. Xenagos will win the game. He does that.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the very least it will help her defend, stabilize, and then get her connections.
Yeah, and Nick just pressuring the life total, because that's essentially stopping Rosie from drawing 2 cards right there.
Exactly, and there's blood in the water. Like,
Yeah.
Nick knows that he doesn't want it to get back to a place of parity. He has an advantage,
Yeah.
and that in this matchup, those advantages don't last as long as they will in some other matchups.
Yep, and that's the versatility of Abrupt Decay right there, just
Yeah.
getting rid of that. But
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny that these decks are finely tuned to abuse each other.
that's how I designed it.
Exactly. Jund is a bad matchup for Jund. You get identical lists.
Actually, Jund Monsters actually has the edge in the mirror, but against like a deck like Mono Black, Jund Monsters is a lot worse than a classic Jund mid-range deck.
Yeah, and that Jund Control versus Mono Black is a joke of a matchup. The Jund Mat doesn't lose that match.
It's you're only losing to like Gray Merchant, Runner Gray Merchant.
Or mulliganing 3 times in 2 games.
Yeah.
Might be some personal experience there.
I still see you're not over that lot.
No, I'm not. I'm holding grudges, but Reaper of Wild's coming in, and that's going to create a threat that can't really be dealt with right now. As we see a Corsair come down for Rosie to help her stabilize, and another Corsair on top.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The second Corsair is not nearly as good as the first.
And I
but
believe Rosie is also handless, so...
I think she has a Xenagos still in hand.
Oh, right, the Xenagos. Yeah, she's covering them up, so we don't know for sure. Keeping mystery. That's the thing, is with having not a grip full of lands,
Yeah.
those Corsairs, you have to have a land on top to really make a difference.
Right.
And so we see 2 Mutavaults on Nick's sides along with that Reaper.
Yeah. So that I think Rosie's really banking on the Xenagos to survive multiple turns in order to really take this game back. Because right now she is behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and her life total is a big issue. That, like I was saying, is that those Corsairs can bring her back, but they're not guaranteed. And I think, God, you hate to let Nick get Scribes, but yeah, you have to chump there with the
You
carry
think so?
did.
I guess.
You're at 9.
Yeah, I guess
Like-
Rakdos Return would just kill you at that point.
Well, I mean, it's already doing 7.
Is
so,
it?
or even 8 with the carry did.
Yeah.
So, it's 1 point short of deading you
And
anyway.
there's Pelucranos. Not very good in these kind of matchups, actually.
It can make a difference. Like, Nick can spend his whole next turn killing...
So actually, it looks like Rosie doesn't have a Xenagos. I think, yeah, it looks like she does not have any cards in hand.
I wonder what I had seen. I wonder what... It might have been the Vraska that I saw in her
Yeah.
hand. I thought it was a Xenagos.
It's not looking good for her. Coursers are good, but they don't actually win the game.
Exactly. But, yeah, we know that she's going to have a land next turn, so... That's the problem is... Yeah, Chumpy... Yeah, yeah, Polychronos and Reaper of the Wilds is not a happy place to be.
No, it's just value. I think he could monstrous. How much? He could monstrous that Pelucanos for 8?
Forever.
For 4, I think?
Let's see, so it's 1, 2,
yeah,
3,
so that would be
4.
the game, I think.
Yeah, so I think he could do it for 5.
Yeah, because Rosie's drawing a land, and so she knows she has no way of actually getting out of that situation there.
Yeah, and I think Nick's so far ahead there that he doesn't even need to monstrous. He can just, because attack, you can't do anything. Because you can't even double block one of them and kill it.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's chump block or take dead.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair point. Yeah, that wasn't looking good.
Yeah, and we saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know the particular monster side of Rosie's deck, because you have your few monsters. You have your Polychronoses,
Right.
your Stormbreath Dragons in some versions. So I don't know who has more big monsters.
I know for a fact Nick has 4 Stormbreath Dragons in the sideboard, 4 mid-range matchups. Being able to just attrition the opponent, play a Stormbreath Dragon, and attack a few times.
Yeah, especially in a matchup where you're going to have, like in that mid, turn 5, turn 6, you're going to have a bunch of cards in your hand
Right.
as well. So that Monstrous is going to do some work.
Yeah.
Especially if you Xenaghost to get a whole bunch of mana to Monstrous it early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I'm playing this, I would side out Pelucanos, and I would probably side out maybe one Downfall, one Abrupt Decay. Actually, no.
Yeah, Downfall and Abrupt Decay, I think are just because we saw the impact that they had. That Abrupt Decay hits almost all the important
Right,
cards,
yeah,
your Coursers, your Underworld Connections. Trying to think. I can understand Polychronos because it doesn't kill a lot of things, but it still gives you just the finisher. I think you prefer Stormbreaths though.
Yes,
for sure.
that's the thing. That does not get Lifebane zombies.
That is correct. Yeah, and so Lifebane Zombie is another one of the sideboard cards that should come in as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so-
then any other extra value generators, more Veraskas would be nice. I know Nick does play another Vraska in the sideboard, so that's going to help.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the progressive. Just if we have anything in our sideboard that gives us more value,
Yeah.
let's put our more value in.
Exactly, because you shouldn't lose the game on turn 3 or 4 in this
Yeah,
match.
yeah, exactly. This isn't gonna be anybody getting run over unless it's like turn 3 Polychronos.
That probably won't happen either.
So let's go into game 2 and see how the value is going to work out here.
I don't know, Rosie, one thing that Nick does have different from Rosie is that he is playing 2 Chandra Pyromasters over Xenaghost.
Oh wow.
I did beg him to change, because I think Xenaghost is much better, but we'll see if that comes up here.
I agree too, but yeah, because there's so many instances where you hit a Chandra card and it's like your land.
Right. The problem I have Chandra in this deck is you want to hold your removal for threats, and Chandra forces you to play the removal that turn or lose it.
Exactly, yeah, and as well as the damage and can't block isn't particularly important when you're mid-ranging so hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see our mana being stabilized here and Rosie scrying and keep on top.
The scry off, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, and then the always important Thoughtseize to know what your opponent's plan is on. So we see the Rakdos return, Ooze, Polychronos, Abrupt Decay, and Xenaghost. And I'm sure it's Xenaghost this time.
I think it's either Rakdos or Xenaghost. You might take Xenaghost because if she leads with Pelucanos, you must answer it, I think. You might have to answer that.
Yeah. And I was going to say, there's a good argument for the Ooze, which is what Nick took. I think Rakdos return is probably correct.
Right.
Because as we talked about, it's such a backbreaker in this matchup.
Right. Being able to just decimate your game plan entirely.
Yeah, and I can see that Nick has a Rakdos return in his hand as well as that Chandra that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that he keeps Chandra in this matchup, because I think that'd be one of the first cards I'd want to take out.
It's a Planeswalker. It gets you value. That's the criteria.
It seems like the least valuable of the value cards you have in your deck.
I agree, because sometimes, again, removal spell on top, you have to exile. You got to use it that turn, which the John deck likes to be patient.
Yeah, so it looks like we see another Thoughtseize coming down. And Nick writing down the hand the second time. one of those cues that you have 2 Thoughtseizes is the first time you don't even care what's in there. Just figure out your card and move on.
That time he does take the Rakdos return.
Yep. Yeah, and so that would make sense, because you're not worried about... You're worried about Ooze on turn 2. You're not worried about Rakdos returning for 1.
Are you really worried about Ooze on turn 2? It's just a 2/2.
Well, look at the board state, though. Is that Nick's hand... Chandra Pyromancer isn't dealing with Ooze.
That's true.
And if you're attacking her hand with those Thoughtseizes as well, each creature that you take is going to make that Ooze a little better.
That's a fair point. And I think looks like Xenagos.
Yep. So Xenagos making a token.
Yeah, this could end the game quickly.
Yeah, because that's the thing is we're seeing that. Yeah, Nick's deck not having board presence, like a Polychronos on this upcoming turn can make a very, very big difference, though.
And
We see a Courser being the card drawn.
that's good if Rosie didn't have Abrupt Decay.
That is true as well.
But
I believe he has a Stomping Ground they has to pay life for.
yeah, that's never.
Yeah, so yeah, it hurts some playing Courser and not getting to play a land that turn either.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a land on top.
Right, and this is definitely favoring Rosie, as she's pretty much forgotten about the value plan, is going on the Xenagos plan of just
Endless stream of centaurs hasting in.
satyrs.
Or, sorry, the satyrs.
Yes.
Yeah, goats, not horses, right?
Right. Well, actually, it's going to be important once the new Centaur Lord is released. So.
That is true, yeah. Need to differentiate our human-animal hybrids.
Yes, you do.
So we see another shocking down to 6 by Nick
Rakdos
Delaney.
return. He's going to kill that, but this puts a lot of pressure on his next draw.
You're at 2.
Yeah.
You're at an effective 2. Like a Rakdos return for 2 kills you.
Oh, there's another Xenagos.
Xenagos
And
also
that's the
kills
game.
you. Yeah, we saw here. Yeah, just Nick didn't have a board.
Yeah. See, that's kind of why I don't like Chandra Plano Master. It doesn't do anything the turn it enters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's also where the argument is you have to get value.
Yeah.
But board presence is still a thing.
Right.
And you can lose a game for just not having board presence because there are threats. Is that you can have an Ooze go all the way, you can have Xenagos all the way, go all the way.
Right.
You can have a Polychronos go all the way.
The most frequent one is going to be the Xenagos because you can't. It's going to die to Hero's Downfall and it's not going to die at all.
Yeah, and probably. Yeah. Is this a matchup where you bring in Dreadbores? Because Planeswalkers are very important. It's hard to get creatures.
I'd bring in Dreadbore. I think the only reason I don't like Dreadbore is it doesn't hit Master Waves, but that's not in any of these decks. I'm pretty sure about that. So.
And so one of the problems with Sideboard is you can easily put in all these value cards and lose your creatures, and I'm not sure if that might be what Nick did.
Right.
Is it if he's swapping out creatures for spells?
That's fine, because the only creature of Rosie that actually generates advantage is Courser, but I think the problem there was he didn't have enough removal spells.
Yeah, and he's in a place where he really had to take Ooze on turn 2 with that Thoughtseize to not just get murdered by it.
I still think you take Xenagos, because I think you're taking 4 before the Xenagos is played by the Ooze. But the turn Xenagos hits, you're taking 2 already, then you're taking 4, and then you're taking 6. So that's 12, and the Ooze is dealing, I think, 6 or 8 by that point, because no other creatures hit the graveyard at that point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think there's definitely, arguments on both paths of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what's right, but I definitely see your argument as well.
Okay.
All right, so let's head into a game 3 here.
Decisive game 3.
And see if it's board presence or just pure value that takes this game away.
I hope it's pure value. I'm a fan of pure value.
Exactly, and that'll give us a little more to talk about too. Those quick games, we don't get the camera time we need, or we get too much camera time, I guess.
I guess.
We'll be off of the actual match. We see a Guild Gate there for Nick Delaney, and the carry.
Very good start.
I don't like having Guild Gates in this deck. I know it helps
Yes.
curve out your mana, but you already have so many lands that come in to play tapped or punish you for untapping them.
When I played the deck, I ran 2 Golgari Guild Gate, and I went on the full complement of Scry lands.
Yeah, because you're at least getting the Scry to, sort everything out.
This is one of the better Scry decks, because it has so many powerful cards, but sometimes those cards are bad in some matchups, and being able to just put those away.
As well as your mana can be very testy as well. So smoothing out your mana is so important.
That's missing some mana.
That is missing, yeah. We see, this is what we like to, so Rosie explaining the power of her 3-pair as she has two Caryatids,
If Rosie
2
draws some mana,
Xenagoses.
she's in very good shape, but if she doesn't draw the mana, it's not looking good.
But yeah, so I mean the Caryatids get you there. It's just the much clunkier, slow way.
Yeah. Let's see if Nick has like a Rakdos return to really punish this slow start.
Yeah, that would definitely be the way to punish it. I see Courser and at least 1, maybe 2 more lands in Nick's hand.
Yeah.
We see the land off the top with the Scry.
Gonna gain 2. And
Polychronos.
you keep that, I think, because Rosie does not have any removal spells, and I think Nick just really needs to get a card to actually close the game out already. I think.
Yeah, he wants when somebody stumbles on their mana, you do want to punish them for it. And Nick not playing with that top card reveal. There we go. And it's a third Courser, so you definitely feel a lot better about the long game now with triple Courser.
Really, this favors Rosie because she just has more time, and as you see her hand, it's extremely powerful.
Yeah, but do we know? Let's see. Instead of Frost or Storm Breath Dragon in Rosie's hand in the middle, she has a red card there.
I think it's a Storm Breath Dragon.
Yeah, and so that could be a big swinger here. So we're going to be seeing the Xenagos coming down.
Treated her very well. I would have led with the Pelucranos, I think, just because it has a higher toughness.
I agree with that as well. As well as by playing the Polychronos, you're also able to protect the Xenagos the next turn.
Yes.
Play it a lot better.
This is a very fragile Xenagos.
Yeah.
Because this essentially makes Abrupt Decay a kill spell for the Xenagos. Because you can decay the token and just swing with the 2 Coursers.
Yeah, and you can't Abrupt Decay a Polychronos. He's just a little too big.
But it doesn't really. I don't think it's going to matter, as it looks like Nick has a Storm Breath Dragon.
Yeah, and we can see that he's taking that Courser value, or he's thinking about that Courser value.
Yeah.
I guess he's leaving the land on top because he doesn't want to shock himself. But he can play it tapped and gain the life just to draw the card.
It might help him make a future decision, knowing the next card on top of his deck.
Or I think he might have actually played a land from his hand.
That could be the case.
And he's trying to play a second one. But we see, Storm Breath killing Xenagos.
Courser, unfortunately, does not have the Oracle Medaya effect.
Yep.
Be quite good if it did.
It always feels like it does, though. You feel like you should be able to play the extra land for free.
Well, they don't want to make a card that's too good.
Yeah, especially for 3 mana.
And 4 toughness is pretty good, too.
Exactly. I mean, even if it were a 2/1 for 3 with the Oracle ability, I think that's just too crazy powerful.
Too good. Well, yeah, it's just a better Oracle at that point.
Exactly.
Because I think the only difference is that new Oracle would die to a Spark Jolt.
Exactly. Yeah. And Electrickery, which is one of my favorite.
Okay, that is true.
Like mono blue tokeny.
I don't think mono blue can actually. Oh, I think you're against mono blue.
Yeah, against mono blue. So like, you don't get to kill the
master.
Master, but you kill all of his minions.
Yeah.
And so Rakdos on top.
And this is like a rare time where the card is not what you want to see.
Well, it's actually good. Like, if it weren't for Storm Breath, it would be great.
It would
because, they would just be making a whole bunch of mana and stripping out a hand.
There's only one card.
Yeah, exactly. In a normal scenario that we're not in currently. We see the Dreadbore. So yeah, this is.
So do you think Nick goes straight for Rosie, or does he still take care of the Xenagos, knowing that the Dreadbore is there?
So that is an interesting thing. You can't attack. He must have a hero's downfall here to be attacking with both the Coursers, because you can't double. Like, you don't want to trade a Courser for a token.
That's
like, it doesn't look like that's Rosie's plan here. Like,
well, yeah.
Or I wonder if the dragon's going to the face, and then the Coursers are going to it.
Yeah. Okay. That seems the best.
Okay, they're all going at her.
Yeah, I do like that play.
And then the Overload, or the Monstrous rather, is what killed.
Yeah. So Rosie needs a way to kill that dragon, or she loses.
Yeah, and because
of Courser. Courser does everything. He gains the 1 life.
Gives her 1 more turn here possibly. And that's fine. She has a dragon of her own now, but because of Monstrous, those dragons don't just trade with each other anymore.
Right.
And it also hurts because your Caryatids are your defense as well as your mana.
Right.
So that the Dreadbore on top has her, dead on board, basically.
Right. The Dreadbore, yeah.
We see Abrupt Decay as well. So, yeah, one of the demoralizing effects, of course, of Crewfix is you get to see as your opponent draws every card that beats you.
Yeah.
It's a little demoralizing as you see them top deck card after card that just crushes your soul.
Oh, yes. Such good cards, too. Those are very powerful cards.
Exactly.
So Rosie's board is about to be decimated by Dreadbores and Abrupt Decays.
Yeah, and when you're at 8, that's not where you want to be at. But yeah, so that Dreadbore on the dragon is a little less lethal because you can basically chump block one of the Coursers and bounce on the other.
Yep.
but that still puts you at 1.
The Reaper to just gain some value. I guess he doesn't want the Abrupt Decay, which is fair. Like, Courser's really not doing much.
Or maybe he'll just show Rosie that, yes, I really do want the Abrupt Decay, and I'm choosing to keep this. Yeah, because he even has the mana up to protect that Reaper as well, so...
Yeah.
That is a very safe Reaper.
To be fair, if Rosie draws a removal spell, it's going straight for that dragon.
Exactly. Yeah, so, yeah, it's just getting through the technicals of how we finish this game off. So I'm still not sure why we aren't seeing Rosie blocking with that token ever.
Yeah. It's just...
Yeah, because, yeah, last turn she definitely, could have easily killed off one of those coursers at, the cost of a token, which, is victim to every type of removal spell in the deck.
So did he... I don't think he played a land this turn. Yeah, he did not, because he monsters last turn with Stormbred Dragon with only 6 lands, so yeah. I think he could do that.
Yep, so, yeah, he's just deciding whether or not he wants to gain 0 life or 2 life by playing the land. So he'll gain 2 life going up to 20, and reveal another land on top.
And then he's just going to play it safe and just keep the hexproof up for the Reaper.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to... There's no reason to, put yourself in a weak position here.
And then that's going to be the game, is you can't deal with the Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that was the thing, is we saw Rosie's mana was the problem there, is that Rosie stumbled on her mana, and it's one of the things that is both a strength and a weakness when you get into the deck, the Jund deck, is that the scry lands let you keep a little more questionable hands. So you're like, I'm going to scry to, the color I need, I'm going to scry to more land.
Right.
And a lot of times it'll work, and you'll win games purely off of the value of those scries.
Right.
But you can also get really unlucky and not in those first, 2 scries, not hit the land you need.
No, I don't fault Rosie for keeping that hand. That was a powerful hand. It's just she didn't get those lands.
Yeah, and she even had the Caryatid, so it feels like she's even accelerating.
Right, she did have 3 Caryatids.
Yeah, but that was the thing, is it was unlike Game 2 where we saw that Nick was a little behind on tempo the whole game, Game 2, where this game he was far, far ahead on tempo. And even without the mana struggles, I think Nick was a little bit ahead the whole time anyway.
Right.
And it just got exasperated by the fact that Rosie was struggling with her mana.
I will point out a little, just to brag. I said I would shave the number of Abrupt Decays. If you look at Rosie's hand, there were a few Abrupt Decays in there.
Yeah, they're not killing dragons or reapers.
Dealing with connections is important, but I think you can race connection with Xenagos, personally, so...
Yeah, there's a lot of cards that can keep up with that value, and, if you have an amount of Abrupt Decays, especially with the amount of value you get filtering through with your coursers and your underworlds, like, you're going to get there eventually. Yeah,
I'm interested to know if any of them run Golgari Charm on the sideboard, because that would, I think, would be a better card.
I'll be interested. Luckily, we're on site here with Delaney. Nick, do you play any Golgari Charms in your sideboard? I have 1 in my sideboard. So that's 1 in the sideboard. So.
Next time you should sideboard an Abrupt Decay out for that card.
we're giving advice via commentary.
I don't know. Well, I know a bit about that deck because I did build that deck. So.
Exactly. You've built that deck. I've played that deck of your personal build as well. Yes. Like we both have very deep feelings about the Jund deck. So seeing the Jund mirror is going to bring out a lot of opinions from both of us.
I was very happy to see it because I do like that deck a lot. I don't like it as much as 3-Aired Mesas, but
exactly. It's a good deal.
It was fine. I got to keep some of the cards, so
very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's very interesting to see a lot of things going on in that match.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions there. There's no easy path in those games.
And I think that this is, one of the things that we do is we put these videos up on the Cosmic Comics YouTube as well.
Right.
And I think this is a great matchup for both players to watch.
Yeah.
Because there's so many decisions being made in that game that watching it's really going to let you walk yourself through what my other options were.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you played perfectly or not, it's always good to know those options.
Oh yeah, Jund is a very decision-heavy deck. I watched Woody's game, I think, from last week against Brad, and there were so many things you could have done there, and being patient with that Abrupt Decay is something I would not have done.
Yeah, which is funny, because I remember when I borrowed the deck from you told me, it's not that complicated, just play the best card every turn, and that was the entire strategy primer I got from you.
Yes, but that's against other value-heavy decks, which I don't think other people play with those type of decks.
Yeah, the metagame was a little different.
Yes.
Like, we've seen a huge shift in the metagame here. if you go back 2 weeks, it was wall-to-wall aggro decks. It was the Japanese mono black deck. We saw Boris aggro.
Yeah.
We saw every imaginable type of aggro deck.
Right.
Now we've seen that metagame completely shift, that we see multiple Jund decks. I know that there's a blue-white player out there. There was a Naya control being played. Like, it's completely turned on its head.
Don't sleep on that Esper mid-range deck.
Exactly. It does a little bit of everything. And I know that's why you and Baldeep like that.
It does everything.
Yeah. It is nice to play on both halves of the game.
Yes. It is nice playing. You can do everything in one deck. It's cool to do that. It sucks when you draw Soldier of the Pantheon on turn 6 and Elspeth on turn 1, but...
Yeah, so I just have to ask, are you the type of person that likes to eat your dessert before your dinner? Like, that's how I always feel like when I'm seeing your decks. Like, this is a man who enjoys dessert before he eats his meal.
No, I do not. I don't actually eat dessert. No. It's a weekend thing.
Fair enough. Weekend desserts.
Yes.
It's a good reward for hard week of studying.
Yeah. Hard week of studying.
Exactly. Or just reading spoilers.
That is what I did. I did not. Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll be touching on those a little later tonight as well.
So I do have strong opinions on those cards.
Exactly.
I don't bring any weak opinions here.
Yeah. If there's one thing that this particular broadcast is going to bring you, it's a lot of very strong opinions.
Yes.
Like I said, you and I have somewhat different views, somewhat similar views, but we're both very firm on our views.
Yeah. I don't change my view.
Exactly. So, let's see. So that was actually round 3 this time.
Was that? Yes, that was.
So that's going to put Nick up to the 3-0 and Rosie down to the 2-1. And with the 5 rounds, there's a lot more play left than there was in the 4 rounds, where at 3-0 you're basically in. You can draw. You can even lose your next match and draw, and typically top 8.
Right.
And 2-1, there's a lot more play, where before, if it's 4 top 8, you can draw typically.
Yeah.
At 2-1 and 5, you got some work left to do.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, like, we see the power of Jund, so I think it's very likely for us to see Rosie being able to get into our top 8 tonight with that deck.
Like the deck plays a lot of powerful cards. It's always in every game. It doesn't have a bad. I guess Burn is a pretty bad matchup, but
yeah, Burn could be bad. Like, anything where they aren't going to interact with your board and the value you can't get.
Right.
But there's not a lot of great decks around that do that.
Yeah. The worst part is when you play a Xenagos against Burn and they Searing Blood the token and then redirect the 3 damage to Xenagos. That is the worst part.
That's one of the cards that we don't see that much play of, is the Searing Blood, because it seemed like a card that was going to have a big impact.
Yeah, I think it has.
Okay. Yeah, to be fair, every week I get a very small portion of what's actually happening in the metagame as well.
Yeah.
Because I just get to see, 4 or 5 matches, typically some of the same people.
Right.
But yeah, like, I know that I haven't seen that much Searing Blood yet.
Yeah. It's good in the Burn deck. It's good whenever you're playing any weenie strategy.
Yeah. And I think part of it, too, is it is red
Yes.
for a spell that doesn't say, this creature dies. And when you see, like, in the Jund deck, they just want the creature dead.
Yes.
Like, that's not going to kill a Polychronos.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so I think that's why we see, the Dreadbores and the Hero's Downfalls played a lot more than the Searing Blood.
Right.
And even something like a Lightning Strike that's going to, get a few better creatures. It's going to get, your Fleece Mane Lion, where the Searing Blood's not going to.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Searing Blood does not hit some of the more important creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, and even Magma Jet, where it just gives you the card value rather than the damage value.
The Scry 2 is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially in this format where we're seeing that, your personal desires, value is becoming very important in this format.
The problem with this format is there's not enough value.
Exactly.
I would like to see some more value cards.
You're a very, very greedy man.
Yes, I am.
It's like, well, I have made a bold prediction, is I believe that once the new set comes out, we are going to see a good amount of the metagame be 5-color control, where once again we're seeing Rakdos Returns and Sphinx Revs in the same deck.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I honestly believe that that's where, again, we've spoiled, 10 cards?
Well, if that
so I'm making a little preemptive guesses here, but that's what I feel like.
If that happens, get your Burning Earths.
Exactly. Burning Earths will be, a very valuable commodity.
Especially with that new 5-color land, taking 2 to...
Yeah, if you want my personal investment tip for the week, is invest in Chromatic Lanterns, because I think that's a card that's going to go up a lot.
I'm going to say Aurelia the War Leader is a card you should look at.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier as well. I don't want to divulge any, trade secrets.
No, don't.
But yeah, there may be some Aurelias coming out of Jaw's hand very soon to end lives.
That's the plan. It probably won't happen because it won't generate enough value. but-
Exactly. Creatures that attack and then attack some more,
Right.
that's not value. Attack phases aren't cards.
No. No.
Okay, so I think we're ready to head into round 4.
Yeah.
And so I believe in this round we're going to be seeing Baldeep returning
Yeah.
against the man who broke the curse and then ended up winning the whole tournament,
Oh,
Woody.
yeah. So this is going to be a very... Woody's deck is very fast. It's one drop. It's mono 1 drops,
Yeah.
essentially.
And as we see, Woody and Rosie are always trying to keep us a little, off
Yeah.
balance with what decks they're playing each week. And Woody today is just playing mono red.
Yes, and...
As we can see by that Foundry Denizen, this is the monoist of mono reds.
It's going to probably madcap skills that and then just attack.
Yeah, exactly. Your Soldier of the Pantheon doesn't defend against that well, and that's...
Yeah, this is going to be tough for Baldeep, especially with, like, a Faro is essentially a dead card in this matchup. It's not going to do anything.
And that's the thing, is that if you weren't expecting that Woody's on burn, like if this were
Yeah.
a somewhat normal deck, you could sit back and just double block. But you know for a fact that one of your creatures is going to get killed and he's just going to attack you. again
Right.
here.
I might still double block. The goal is just live so you can play Blood Baron or Obsidat.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's going to attack and get value. I think he just kills one to guarantee he can get the attack in.
That's Searing Blood.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if there wasn't an attack there, he would have
Yeah.
done that pre-combat rather than just to get value to clear the
That's
board.
very good by Woody. Searing Blood the soldier before playing the Cackler so that he doesn't gain the life, which...
Oh yeah, yeah. That is very wise. And Baldeep's at 8.
Oh, yeah.
like,
He's
that-
probably going to lose this game. He's probably going to have... Yeah, especially with this land coming tap. Yeah, that's...
yeah,
that's,
it's a bold prediction. The Baldeep's at 8 may lose this
Yes,
game.
he probably lost already.
Yeah, that's again the power of being these incredibly aggressive decks.
He's going to need an ultimate price, otherwise he just loses.
Yeah, and we see Spear of Heliod, I believe, in hand, which
Yeah, that's-
isn't going to do it.
Yeah, that's going to do nothing.
Yeah, that's going to put Baldeep down to 3, and Lightning Strike to end the game.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what a mono red deck wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We'll see how Baldeep sideboards after that.
exactly.
I imagine he's sideboarding out any and all 5 drops and 4 drops.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think like Obsidian sounds like it might be okay because it gets you back to life
not.
return, but it's not.
You blink out the opposite, you probably just die.
Exactly.
If not, you're gonna win in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean they can even just throw 2 burn spells at its face, and that's as good as.
yeah.
But that's not typically what's not going to happen because,
not.
as we saw, a turn 5 wasn't even going to happen in that game anyway.
I think Baldeep's gonna need to just lower the curve as much as possible. Play Sin Collector. It's better than those cards.
Exactly. Yeah. Take out Elsbeth's for Sin Collectors. Yeah.
Might hit a lightning strike. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah. So, are there any other So yeah, we don't want Obsidats. We probably don't want Blood Barons. Like
I might keep a Blood Baron.
just to have the one to catch you
because
up
I
a
don't
little.
think there's anything in his deck that's better.
Yeah.
There's not enough cards that are better than the sideboard.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Is are there cards that can replace those out of the board?
I think he did add Fiend Slayer Paladins to his sideboard, so this could be a very good matchup for those.
Oh yeah, that's a great place for those cards.
Banisher Priest, I would bring in the extra Banisher Priest.
Yeah, that's something I was going to ask you too, because it does slow it down a little bit. It can destroy Madcap skills.
You're right.
But you know that Banisher Priest is going to die immediately.
Well, if they have to kill your 2/2, that's fine.
Yeah, because
That's not. Yeah.
you've gotten the value of slowing down the creature as
Yeah.
well as taking one less spell of
Yeah.
damage to the face.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's pretty much. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's about all I can think of.
Yeah, but yes, Soldier of Pantheon is an important part to the early game here.
Yeah. Also, if I remember, I'd probably bring in Zaptor Necromancers. Just.
Yeah, that's very good there, because
Yeah.
they can't just burn through to get their
Right.
Madcap skills guys through.
Yeah.
All right, so let's head into game 2 and see whether Baldeep's going to be able to stabilize a little bit, or if Woody just burns to the face again.
Yeah. Baldeep's definitely the underdog here because of the shock land.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that Woody is also using the color-appropriate sleeves, which is always nice.
I don't know, I like pandas.
Exactly. Yeah, there's surprisingly very few pandas in this.
So he's gonna
deck,
block.
though.
I think Baldeep, by blocking with that soldier, I think what he's saying is he doesn't have anything else to do.
Well, part of it too is you know that your opponent's entire plan is to kill you.
That's true.
And
so just trade aggressively.
Yeah, just trade aggressively. Is that you want to keep as many threats off the board because those are repetitive damage.
Yes. And I don't actually like this from Baldeep. I'm an advocate of shocking to advance your board, and that's what he because look, if he shocked for 2, he's only taking 2. He's going to take 1, and then he'll probably lose the capture the next turn. Or well, I think he has the Skyjack in his hand, so he's going to lose that. So he's really taken more than 2 points by not shocking.
Yeah, that is a fair point as well. And that's something that takes a lot of experience with a deck to really understand when you shock and when you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why so many players, besides the pure value of having those lands back, is that there is a lot of skill testing that goes into when you shock and when you don't.
So it would be a lot better if, see that he played the Skyjack the last turn, traded, and then played another Skyjack now on an empty board. And with Bloodburn in hand, he would definitely have enough time to be able to deploy that and possibly take this game over.
Yeah, and we're seeing the Dragon Mantle on that.
And there's a Searing Blood.
Yeah, so Searing Blood taking out the Skyjack.
So good.
And then the 1 pump off of that Dragon Mantle.
So, you're complaining about not seeing Searing Blood. You're seeing it now.
Yeah, this is definitely the place where it's custom made for removal and damage.
Yeah, it's very good against this deck. 3-color deck playing white weenie creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, who would design such a crazy deck? Well, yeah, so we see that, especially if...
another one.
We see another Searing Blood.
Yeah, there's nothing Baldeep can do. He can't take out his 1 and 2 drops to avoid that card. It's just, he has to live with it.
And we can see that Woody does have a Fire Fist Striker in hand as well. And so if he builds a battalion, along with the abilities off of the Legionnaire, that creates a very dangerous creature with the first strike, trample, and then fire breathing.
Yeah,
but we do see, the Blood Baron coming down now.
But I don't like this. Woody has 4 cards in hand.
Yeah, and you're at 7.
You're at 7. So chances 2 of those being burn spells pretty high.
Well, factually, all you have to do is attack in, and then you can just Dragon Mantle and trade. Like, you don't even have to use cards to get out of the situation.
If I'm Baldeep, though, I think I'm okay. That's big, right there.
Ooh.
That's
the first strike.
Yeah, I'm gonna prematurely call this game over now.
Yeah, there's no life link.
Yeah.
You have fire breathing.
And surprisingly, Baldeep kept an Ashiok. I'm a huge fan of that card. I don't like it here.
Yeah, Ashiok is not going to do anything in this match.
And look, what did he draw here? A Doomblade.
He has Doomblade, yeah, so it's going to give him a turn, but we know that there's still more fuel in Woody's hand.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards in Woody's hand.
I see another Dragon Mantle in there as well to go with that Fire Fist Striker.
Yeah,
this is, in general, just not a good matchup.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, because Baldeep's deck is kind of being in a good position on every turn of the game, is that at every part in the curve you have a card that you can play that's efficient for that part of the curve. But Burn doesn't care.
Burn doesn't care. Burn, that's a good thing.
Burn's like, you can play the best card every turn. You're going to be at, 5 by turn 5.
It's good by Woody. He just pumps twice, putting enough pressure there, and then was able to still use the mana to advance his board with that.
Yeah.
And then, is that a revoke existence? Because that's interesting. I guess it does get rid of madcap skills.
Yeah, and I think that he felt that I think it might have been very false, but I think he felt that game 1, if he could have just dealt with the madcap skills, he wouldn't have been down so low.
The trick is just to kill the creature.
Exactly. Yeah, and by the time you're able to revoke it, you've already probably taken a hit or 2 from it, so you're not getting the value you want.
And this is going to be funny. I think Woody's actually happy to see Baldeep play that Crusader, and then he can just Searing Blood it and...
Exactly, yeah, it's more damage than if he had just played the Crusader himself.
Yeah.
But we see that, there's... Woody, definitely has that Searing Blood, and, the Titanic Strength as well.
And the game might just be over this turn.
If at any point a creature comes down for Baldeep, it's definitely going to be over with that Syrian.
Yeah, he's just going to draw a card off the mantle.
Yeah, and then that's 2 more, so that's 5, 6, 7. That's lethal.
That's going to be the game.
Yep, so so just Woody putting all the math together, and shows the revoke.
Yes,
to show that he could have dealt with the mantle if he got another turn.
Right.
But that's the problem with those enchantments, is that the first turn they're played, they still have a pretty strong impact.
Right. If you actually kill the mantle with the revoke, the mantle replaces itself.
Yeah, because you get the draw card.
Yeah, so that's not a very good plan in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's a red mana to play it as well, so you're spending 2 mana at sorcery speed.
To deal with a 1 mana enchantment that replaces itself, so yeah, the mono at that point the mono red deck is out valuing you, and that's not good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair that we can both agree that in spite of that, there's not much you can do in that matchup if you're a Baldeep. Like this is one of those ones you just chalk up as like, well, sometimes this happens. Sometimes I'll play Woody, and when I play Woody, it's not going to be a fun time, and I'm just going to go on to my next round.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And
Yeah,
and we saw that Baldeep was 4-0 at this point as well.
I believe that was only, was he 4-0 or 3-0?
That was round 4.
Was that round 4?
Yep, because we started on 2.
Then he would be 3-1 because he lost.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Woody is 4.
Yeah. So Woody's 4-0, and Baldeep was 3-0 going into that.
Yes.
So yeah, it's still, again, they're both clearly going to be able to make our top 8.
I hope so.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a very demoralizing feeling. But so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the cards that have been spoiled.
Great.
And we're going to, again, we will bring you very firm opinions on how we feel about these cards as well.
Yeah.
And so the first card, and this is a splashy gentleman to say the least, is Ajani, Mentor of Heroes, or as I like to call him, Ajani, motivational speaker.
What, John?
Like if you read his abilities, his first ability is distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. So he's already just pumping up the crowd, right?
Okay, that's decent.
So then we move on to his second ability, which is also a +1 ability. So it's interesting that he doesn't have a minus ability. He has 2 pluses and an ultimate, kind of like the old Elsbeth.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, which is always an interesting dynamic to see.
Right, it's just going up.
Yeah, and you see it's, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura, creature, or planeswalker. So basically, any permanent besides a land, it's going to be useful.
Right. At that point, 5 mana Ajani, I think, unless you're playing a Bant deck, an extra land's not actually going to be that useful.
Exactly. And then you get to and then you choose one, reveal it, put it in your hand.
Right.
And then put the rest on the bottom in any order.
Yeah.
And so, he's gathering your resources, he's giving you skills.
Right.
And at the end, if you follow the system and you get that 8 loyalty, you too can gain 100 life.
That's just, a lot of people like that. I am not one of them.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. The one time somebody does that and you get skull cracked, it's just going to be funny.
Exactly. And that's the whole point, is the 100 life doesn't win you the game.
No.
The 100 life is just a great way to say, look what I did. It's just...
If you want infinite life, just play Boros Reckoner and that Boros Charm and that Azorius Charm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there are easier ways to get infinite life, but it feels splashier than it actually is.
Yeah, it's not very... really, to me, that's a -9 ability, because the 100 life is not going to win you the game. It's going to buy you turns, and you want a Johnny when you're looking for something specific, so I'm not going to... When I play this card, I'm going to use the ultimate when he's got 9 counters.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is that he's not about his ultimate.
No.
It's those other 2 abilities, which are good in 2 very different type of decks. So if you're playing green-white tokens, which we've seen here on the stream with your Advent Worms, your Fleece Mane Lions, all of these really efficient creatures.
Yes.
You make your efficient creatures even more efficient.
Right.
And then if you're playing something like a Bant control deck...
I don't like this card in Bant control.
You don't? Yeah, it is. It's a little clunky on its cost.
It is.
But it is, the solution to I need the best card that I can get right now.
I would just play more Elspeth if I was playing control.
That's fair, but I mean, sometimes where you can get the best card for you out of the top 4 cards every turn.
Right.
Like that.
Yes.
That's value.
But when you're in a Bant control deck, the best permanent is going to be Elspeth, so why not play more Elspeths?
Well, this is a way of playing more Elspeths. This could be, Elspeths 5 through 8.
That's a lot of Elspeths.
It is, and I'm not saying to play Elspeth 5 through 8, but it gives you that option.
I would play Elspeth 5 through 8.
Is that just, the versatility on that is very big. And there's 2 big knocks on this card. And so one of them is its cost. 5 mana is a lot. You don't want to play 5 mana in an aggro deck to pump your creatures.
Right. The +1 ability is not good for 5 mana. You can play, what is it, the Born of the Gods uncommon that just does an instant feat, so that's not really...
Or you can even play vanilla white Ajani and just put 1 counter on them. It's not as exciting, but you're doing it, 2 turns earlier.
Yeah.
And so, as well as the other ability of the filtering is, it's still 5 mana.
You're right.
And it's, it's not that splashy of effect of 5 mana, look at the top card, and because this card doesn't protect itself, you could get that 1 card that, could be like a scavenging ooze. It might not be the biggest, it's not going to be Elsbeth every time because it's only 4 cards.
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't defend itself, and its abilities for 5 mana, I think, aren't quite splashy enough.
Right. With that said, I'm a fan of this card. I know I'm knocking it, but I don't like it in band control. I've tested it with a Naya control deck, and it was pretty good there. You're able to grab cards like Chain to the Rocks, and
That's very nice.
it is very nice. Having a 1 mana removal for pretty much everything.
Yeah, I don't think the intentions of that ability was to get you removal, but
That's what I do.
yeah, and the same thing with Bant, you can get Detention Sphere, so it can
You
actually
can,
get you.
I do not think it. It says Aura. I don't think.
Oh, it is Aura.
Yeah, so that's why you can get Chained to the Rocks.
Wow, that is a very good point.
Yes.
My head still hasn't differentiated the difference between enchant creatures and auras.
If you could get Detention Sphere, I would like this card in ban.
Yeah, I agree. Like, that was my own seeing aura and just automatically going, enchantments are auras.
Right. You could also get something like Pacifism, which is decent. So he can tutor out removal, which is nice. Gods. What else? Planeswalkers, right. Planeswalkers, creatures, yeah.
Yeah, my honest opinion on this card is that it's going to be very big when it begins out. Everybody's going to try it out, and it's going to be a lot like Painseer, is where it looks like it does something really big, then you play games with it, and it's like, it doesn't really do what I want it to do.
Okay, I think the card, it's going to see a lot of play. I don't think people are going to use it correctly, but I think it's going to be great in a certain deck like Naya, where you're able to make use of both abilities. Where the band control, you're only making use of the second ability. Naya, you're able to use both abilities, because Naya is naturally a beatdown type of a deck. So the +3, the 3 counters, it could be a huge deal there.
But wouldn't you just prefer, say, like Damre Rade in that spot or other Ajani?
Well, if you're playing a control deck like
Okay,
I
probably
play-
not other Ajani, but Damre Rade is going to help you look for creatures still.
Right.
It doesn't go nearly as deep.
But Damri Rade,
And
as you call him, forces you to play a lot of creatures, which I don't like doing. Creatures are not a good place to be in this stand.
I guess that. But I feel like even in a Naya control deck, you're still having a fair amount of creatures.
Right, you're going to play things like Courser, Krufix, or Boris Reckoner.
Yeah, and your Polychronuses.
No Fleece Main Lines.
Well, yeah, so that's interesting. And
I
so,
guess. You can play Fleece Main Line and Vermaz, and then have cats.
So this
Lots
will,
of cats.
Exactly. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out.
Right.
But, yeah, it's definitely, I think, you're in favor of it. I think it's a little overrated.
I think I'm in favor of it. I think I like it more than most people.
Yeah, and I think the takeaway is neither of us are blown away by it.
I'm blown away.
You're blown away?
I'm blown away.
All right. Well, I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
But, so we're going to move on from Ajani to the cards that have me very excited. I know that you're not nearly as excited about these. And these are the Flash enchantments.
I don't like the red one. I'll just say that now.
Well, there's a reason you don't like it. It's not that it's not good. Although, to be fair, it is
course.
very pricey.
This is,
for
of
what
course,
it does.
all in a standard perspective, not any other formats.
Exactly, yeah. Like, right now we'll talk about just the standard. But, so, I like all 3 of these because they're reinterpretations of old Magic cards that we've had before.
See, I'm a new player, so
Exactly.
that doesn't matter. Except I know the dictate of Karametra has something to do with Heartbeat.
Yeah,
Something
Heartbeat
like-
is Spring.
Heartbeat
And
Spring.
that's probably the one I'm most excited to, but I'll get to that one last.
Okay.
So we'll talk about the red one first, which I know you don't like very much.
Yeah.
Which is essentially Furnace of Wrath. It's,
Right.
if a source would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player.
Okay.
Very, very straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, it's the Searing Bloods that we saw from Woody. Love this card because both sides of it go nuts.
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing that I love about all 3 of these cards is that they're reinterpretations of old cards. That by playing them on your turn and spending your mana,
Right.
you'd be at disadvantages a lot of
Yeah,
the time.
that's true. I could see how this tapping out on your turn to let your opponent have the advantage first.
Exactly.
Not very good.
And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of room, and even with things like an Aurelia's Fury is really out of control.
So does it deal like, so if you do Aurelia's Fury for like
It'll
3,
double each of them.
Each of them. That's nice, but that's still 5 mana to do.
Yeah, I mean, but that's, can be very effective in mid-rangey boards.
Yeah, that's fair. I like Aurelia's Fury. I don't think you need this to make it a playable card.
It's great in with Rakdos Return.
But Rakdos Return wins anyway.
Yeah, but it gets you, if you're playing, more of a very aggressive black-red deck where you're burning a little more, playing your Searing Bloods, like
Yes.
this could be a staple to get you, several turns earlier than you would
But
normally.
yeah, see, that's the problem. When you play this in an aggressive deck, you don't want to tap 5 mana to play a card that'll make your cards.
Or even think just a control deck where a bunch of Dreadbores, Heroes Downfalls, Searing Bloods, Lightning Strikes, Magma Jets. You're not necessarily all
Right.
out killing them.
Yeah.
And you can use the burn spells early game to control the board, and late game to kill them off.
You could, but
Yeah,
But still,
it's not the most optimal thing, but
I think
I think it's something that we will probably see for sure.
I don't think so. I think the only thing I'd see this is with like Kranos, maybe the new god. Is that god being
Yeah.
able to deal 6 is pretty good.
Yeah, it is very powerful, and yeah, we have that with
But
Perforos does the same thing as well.
right,
Is that if you play Perforos and then play Elsbeth
Yeah.
or something crazy, that's uncontrollable amount of damage.
right. The other thing I want to say, if you're playing this card in a control deck, you are gonna lose because they are going to lightning strike you for 6, and you're going to die.
Well, that's where the selectively playing at end of turn with the flash is so important.
But that's why lightning strike is an instant.
That is true. But then they're using up their mana at the end of their own turn.
Yes, but 6 points is a lot.
That is very true. And so moving on, we have the second deck. Oh, we're going to match?
Oh, God. I thought you were going to.
No, so the second dictate is the Dictate of Krufix,
Yeah.
which is, it's funny, it's the only one of these enchantments that is a reprint of an artifact, actually, not enchantment.
Is it?
It's Howling Mine.
You probably want to teach me this.
Okay, so Howling
I'm about to
Mine
learn some history.
was first printed in Alpha.
Yeah, okay. So I wasn't born back then.
It dates that I was playing back then in '93.
That's good. That's good for you.
It shows the differences of our reps with our experience with the game.
Right.
But so Howling Mine is a 2-mana artifact, and it's phrased a little different. If it's untapped at the beginning of upkeep,
Yeah.
each player draws a card at the beginning of their own upkeep if it's untapped.
Okay.
So this doesn't have to be untapped to do it.
Okay.
But it's essentially the same card.
Yes, I can see that. I
And
see that.
I've played many decks with Howling Mine.
All right.
And yeah, there's just so much value and of when you're playing a bunch of tiny things. Like I think Mono Blue we don't see very much anymore.
Mono Blue is still really good.
Oh, I'm saying
Yeah.
here at Cosmic. I think it's still a solid part of
Yeah.
the metagame,
Okay.
but we haven't been seeing that much of it. And I think this is a card that on the blue one,
Right.
it's great for your devotion.
Yes, I agree.
You're playing a bunch of cheap spells anyway,
Right.
and a lot of them are very splashy. So I think
Yeah.
this is custom made to go into Mono Blue right now. If you just want to cookie cut a place there, this is effective.
I could see that. It's good. I actually think this card will see some play.
Yeah, I think you'll see some play. I think we're not in the place where it's optimal yet.
Right.
I'm hoping that we will see as formats move forward and we introduce a new block as well, that this will be able to cross over. And
Right.
because like I said, Howling Mine has such a deep place in my heart.
Yeah. And then I guess the advantage is Flash. You get to draw the card first.
Exactly, and that's the problem with Howling Mine before.
Right.
Is you played it, it's untapped, your opponent draws a card,
And then they
and then
kill
they
it.
typically destroy it.
Yes.
You get shattered a lot.
Yes, I can see that. The card, I like it. I like it with like something like Notion Thief. That would be pretty cool.
that is actually a great use that we might see as well.
They all have Flash. You can just play Flash cards. Just Flash all the time. Splash green. Play what is it again? Like Skylash and stuff. Just
That's an interesting take.
Horizon Chimera. Just gain life, lots of life, and then might as well play Sphinx's Revelation at that.
Well, your mana's a little wonky there.
That's
but
why they have that new land.
That is true. And so the third of these, which we hinted at a little bit, which is the one that I'm very excited about, is the Dictate of Karametra.
Yes. So I like this card.
I like this card too. So as we were saying, much like Heartbeat of Spring, it says whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana to his or her mana pool of
double
any type
tap,
that land
essentially.
controls. Yeah, but it's great with, we live in the land of shock lands
Right.
and scry lands.
Yeah.
And so you can, in, Jund, for instance,
Right.
if you don't have double black yet and you need
Yeah.
the heroes, you can get that double black. But you can also, get black, red, green
Right.
in weird combinations where you wouldn't normally.
Yeah. I think this card is pretty good. I think these dictates in general want to be used in decks that try to do unfair things, not necessarily fair things.
Yeah, I think that's very quick. Yeah, aside from the blue one, both of those are big one-turn effects typically.
Right. Like it'd be cool to play the dictate Karametra and then like play what's that, the Gruul Guild Leader or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking that we might even start seeing Wold Spines just
That would be
being
pretty sweet.
unpleasant in this format.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of X spells already with Rakdos
Right.
Return and Sphinx Revelation. This
Yeah.
is a great reason to play those because you're going to get that mana advantage first typically.
Yes, with a flash you should be able to do that.
Yeah. Is that if they want to do something at the end of their turn with a lot of mana,
Right.
using an instant,
and
give you the shields down. That's okay.
I will say it's gonna suck when you flash that and then in response they cast Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah, that is a hurt feeling, but
But I guess actually they would have to discard, so that's not that bad.
yeah, they'd have to wait till your turn or
Right.
something ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
still.
yeah, it's a peripheral ability where it affects both players, as all three of these cards do,
Right.
which always creates interesting and unintended interactions. Because you could be playing Dictate of Karametra.
So the dictator of the really bad god.
Exactly. You can play that, and it could be possible that you're trying to play over the top, and your opponent's just farther
Right.
over the top than you.
Yeah.
And so there's times where you can be punished very badly.
But generally, a deck that's going to play this is going to go over the top of everything, because there's nothing that goes over the top of World Spine Worm.
That is true. Yeah, there's very few things in the format that'll do that.
Right.
But one of the big things that this Dictate's going to let us do, and it's going to lead us into our next slide, is this is a very, very large amount of mana that you can
Right.
generate.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Okay, so we'll come back to these spoilers in a little
Back
bit.
to Ajani? No? I have more to say about that card. No.
Exactly. I'm sure once it comes out, there'll be plenty of airtime to talk about it.
Yes, you will see me destroying people with it. No.
So we're going to be going into the fifth and final round.
Right.
So fifth and final round,
Where are we?
the
Yeah.
top 8. So are they both X1 here?
I think Nick's no, Nick did lose a game, so Nick is X1.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
our belief
okay.
here is that these are X1s, and this is your win and guarantee. Lose and tiebreakers will probably be good enough most of the
Yeah,
time.
right.
So there's no you could draw and kind of guarantee it, or you could play and not guarantee it as much, but at least one player is guaranteed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we saw Nick before was on the Jun.
And I think Cory is on that Naya Hexproof
Yeah.
thing he was playing last
Yeah,
week.
what I was referring to as Big Boy Boggle.
Big Boy Boggle. So the thing about Naya Hexproof, it has the advantage because a lot of Nick's cards are targeted removal, but the good thing about Nick's targeted removal is it's abrupt decay. So
Yeah,
that can get the enchantments at least.
Yeah, and we saw Cory starting off with the
That's a good
one
start.
drop you want to start off with, which
Yeah.
is the 1/1 hexproof.
Right.
And then immediately into the
Yeah. And so
into the madcap skills.
Right. Nick's under a lot of pressure here, and no Sylvan Caryatid's gonna hurt, I think.
Yeah, so you want to talk about a card that nobody thought was a big card on spoiler, and I keep seeing in every aggressive deck is this madcap skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 damage for 2 that becomes repetitive, and it gives a pseudo evasion to your creature, making it harder to block.
Yeah.
And when they do block, you're typically getting your card value back because you're typically getting a 2 for 2.
Yeah, that's a good point. The only downside is when they just outright kill the creature, but with Hexproof, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and we're seeing again the issue that always comes up when you have Naya Hexproof here is that your mana, when you don't want more than 3 lands in your 3 colors,
Right.
is that sometimes you don't get one of your colors. And we're
Yeah.
seeing Cory not get his white here. We saw, the ethereal armor in hand, which, ends this game, any turn that it gets played.
That's a big draw for Nick right there, that untapped stomping round, allowing him to abrupt decay that and severely lowering the clock. I think Nick should be at 5, not 4, because I think he was at 7, so taking the, yeah.
Well, he thought seized in there as well.
He was at 7, and then he took 2 from the shock, so he should be at 5, I believe.
7, 5. You may be right.
Yeah.
But we
So,
see, definitely the answer
Caryatid.
that's going to give some more turns here.
right there, the Caryatid, very, very good.
Yeah, and even the, and we see a pacifism in hand for Cory, which is doing nothing here right now.
No.
And
It's-
even if he had the white mana, it's not going to help him.
Right, it'll help future turns, but right now Nick's just got the 0-3 Hexproof Defender.
Yeah, now, my question on this deck is, so we just talked about how good Madcap skills is.
Yeah.
In spite of that, do you think just for pure mana consistency that he should cut red? Like, that's where I think the color is.
I'm not sure how much of his deck is red. Is it just Madcap skills?
I'm not sure what else we have in the red.
I imagine Boros Charm. Yes.
Yeah, Boros Charm's the other one we see, but I just don't know if Boros Charm quite is enough to keep you in red when you
White.
could just have
Yeah.
better mana. You could have Fleece Main Lion. You have your Fleece Main Lions. You have This guy, you have your Witch Stalkers. Like, that seems like the creature base you want to be working on.
I think it depends, because if he doesn't have enough 2-mana enchantments, his deck just won't work anyways.
Yeah, that is true. And yeah, you don't have a bunch of 2-mana bestowers.
Cory,
Fire Shrieker.
Cory, getting to this point just shows you that the red splash is probably worth it, but...
Yeah, definitely started for the big opening, but at the same point as we see, Scavenging Ooze and Polychronos.
Yeah, things are not looking good.
And I don't believe Cory runs Magma Jets or Lightning Strikes for any real reach here.
Yeah, that would seem to really hurt his, that would dilute his strategy a bit.
Yeah, but that's one of the problems, too, with these, all-in sort of decks, is that a lot of times you get them to 2, and then they finally catch up, and you're like, you're at 2, and I have nothing that can do anything about it. I think last week we even saw Cory concede to a similar stale board, where he wasn't in, he was at 20, but the board was so stabled up that he could only kill with a fire, which he doesn't have in his deck.
Yeah, so that could be a problem. You just need a lot of unflinching courages, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but there's a point where no matter how many unflinching courages and ethereal armors you put on a guy, it's not going to get through.
Yes. Well, that's why Polychronos is good. He's just big, and he kills things. Yeah.
And we do have more blue-green fixing as well. So there's an argument as well, if you're going to go 3-color, to go with more of the aqueous form that gives you a little more reach.
Oh, that's Boros Charm, and that's...
Oh, that is. Yeah, I was talking about all that, and then I completely forgot the reach of Boros Charm.
Yes.
It does do 4 damage.
Boros Charm does things.
So Cory managed to sneak in that little last bit of damage.
Yeah, that's kind of escaped that game right there, but that's what Boros Charm does.
Yeah, it felt like that game was over.
Right.
Still playing. So, so we saw quite a bit of... Yeah, it was a very interesting game where the tides kept turning, and it really felt like Nick had taken over that game.
Right, but... Yeah, so that's just why that's why you have the red splash. Boros Charm provides reach, because otherwise I don't think green-white has any form of reach right there.
Yeah, that is true. And yeah, I just like the idea of having... Instead of red, maybe going blue, because it gives you aqueous form to give you that evasion.
Okay.
And it gives you something like a Simic Charm, which gives you a little more utility.
Simic Charm, that gives them +3.
+3, and it also can return a permanent.
And then I guess you can give them Hexproof again if you want.
Exactly. So yeah, it protects your guy, it can deal with problems that you can't deal with, and it can just make your guy bigger.
Right, yeah, I guess Simic Charm gives everything hexproof, so you can even give the enchantments hexproof, which is... But I think Boros Charm also just gives everything indestructible. So.
So they essentially do that same thing on one side.
Right.
But yeah, I just think the bounce and the +3/+3, along with going with... I like Aqueous Form a lot in enchantment
It's
decks.
a pretty good card.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be... Yeah, but again, it's Cory's deck, and I'm sure he's played a lot more. He's top-8'd multiple times with this deck.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
So I'm being a little overcritical here. It's just that it's so painful to see a 3-color aggro deck and seeing a deck kind of struggle specifically just because it's 3-color.
Right. Wanting only 3 lands and wanting access to each of those colors is tough. But
and again, with the next set coming out, that is going to give us more Scry lands as well.
And that 5-color land.
Yeah, so it can smooth it out a little bit here.
Quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, but so we'll go into game 2 here as well. And it'll be interesting to see how Nick sideboards, because he's a whole bunch of targeted removal, and
I think
it's not going to do much for
as we learned, he does have 1 Golgari Charm, so I'm pretty sure he brought that in.
So it looks like Cory mulliganed quite a bit. And just had lands and Elvish Mystics.
Mulligan and then getting Thoughtseize is not fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, he Thoughtseized away at Elvish Mystic.
Yes, that is a Thoughtseize proof hand. But.
Yeah, the problem is, when somebody Thoughtseizes you and the best card they can take is Elvish Mystic, you might just go down to 4.
I guess, yes. I don't think Nick's worried that his Thoughtseize only got an Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, and again, this isn't Witch Hunter, this isn't the 1/1 Hexproof. This is a creature that he can't safely equip it up with weapon. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, he has all 3 colors of mana here, though.
That's a good start, but
yeah, the problem is...
That's going to get that Madcap skill.
Yeah, ooh. Yeah, so top decking the card that you want and then not being able to play it.
Well, he could have played it, but I think he wanted to wait for a hexproof creature.
Yeah, that makes sense as well.
That's what's wrong these days.
Yeah.
He makes, I think, the smart play, and then he just gets punished for making Thoughtseize.
And then you see Cory just being demoralized as he peels lands right off the top and put it into play.
Yeah, it's pretty much his only hope is, I think, suiting up that Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, and there's the Nylea's Presence to cycle through and fix the mana.
Forced adaptation.
That is an interesting green enchantment that I wasn't thinking about.
That's the one that gives it a counter each upkeep.
Yeah, each upkeep. So yeah, it creates a very quick clock.
Yeah.
If anybody, if you've played M13 Limited,
Right.
the what is that guy's name? No, the guy that pumps up once each turn. The 1/1 artifact. That's the, I don't know. I remember hearing about this card. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 1/1 that you could artifact for one. As Reaper of the Wilds is creating some mayhem and Underworld Connections continues to create value.
Oh, Cory's gonna need 3 Boros Charms to take this game.
I believe he can cast them.
Yeah.
Which is not at all the plan of this deck.
Well, it's a good planet nonetheless.
Exactly.
Fern does do.
And this is game 2 as well. Like, this isn't over for Cory, and
No,
so
it's not.
they get to go into a game 3, and
Where he is gonna be on the play.
yeah, in essence, Cory's deck is a combo deck.
Yeah.
And having played a lot of combo decks, sometimes you just mulligan and mulligan and you get to a hand where you don't get to play anymore.
Right. That's
It's the price of power, though.
Yeah.
Is that there's so many games where you just win on turn 3 as well.
There's 1 Boros.
Yeah, and so we see, just the flood of land from Cory there.
Yeah, he'd had a few enchantments, but no creature, and that's the problem with the deck sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting to see 2 Elvish Mystics as well as in hand there.
That's you might as well mulligan.
Yeah, it's a hard argument because, like, if you're playing a normal deck, I think that's a little better because you're able to cast your mid-game spells very easily with all your land and your acceleration. So if you're top decking in a normal deck, that's a fine 5. You'd be very happy with that 5.
Right.
But he's not doing anything in his game plan.
Right. That's not really accomplishing anything. He only wants 3 mana, and I think he had 4 mana in that hand.
Exactly.
So.
But yeah, again, that's the thing where, if you mulligan down even farther, you need so many pieces anyway.
Right. It was not going to be good for Cory either way.
Yeah, it was a lose-lose, but I think sometimes you just have to suck it up and say, this doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I guess, but.
Yeah. But that is going to lead us into a game 3 here as well.
Yeah. Should be a pretty good one, I think. With Cory on the play. Let's see if he gets past this mana issues he's been having the first few games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, in spite of those, the power level of his deck is so strong.
For the Naya midrange?
For the
Hexproof.
Hexproof.
Yes.
Yeah, slightly different strategies.
No, see, I'm already thinking ahead.
Exactly. The desires of what you already want to be doing.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to hate it when it fails, though.
well, that's part of the glory, though, is you find out what works and what doesn't work, and maybe even a better deck comes out of it.
Possibly. So, just
just our normal land distribution here.
And it's going to play
Stomping Ground coming in.
Get the Mystic. So, right now, Nick is happy that he's not staring down a Hexproof creature, and this thought sees it's going to reveal that Witch Star, which is huge.
Yeah. Because that's the only way he can basically deal with that card.
Yeah, that's why I thought he's good against combo decks.
I mean, technically, he can overload Mizium Mortars much later in the game if he's still alive.
That doesn't really work because you just put enchantment after enchantment. The thing's going to be too big for Mizium Mortars.
Exactly, yeah. You have to control the Witch Stalker and overload Mizium Mortars and live to that point.
And if Nick can deal with this Elvish Mystic, he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, but that is an Elvish Mystic that
and there you go.
Got mortared, but if not for that Mortars, that's a real threat.
Yeah,
I think you have to understand your matchup there, though, is that you're against Jund, and all Jund does is kill creatures.
Right, but he's got no other choice. So the game goes longer and longer. It's never going to be better for Cory at that point.
That is true. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. So you're either going to get so far behind that you can't win the game, or you're going to get blown out because you're getting 2 for 1 because you don't have the right creature in play to protect it. Yeah, we see the Courser of Krufix.
Pretty good.
Yeah, just stretching out the necessity for Cory to have even bigger ways to win the game.
Anger of the Gods, pretty good.
Yep, Anger of the Gods is apparently another way that he can deal with a Witch Stalker right away if it isn't equipped up.
And then, what do you take here?
Boros
Charm.
Yeah, because you're making him get a creature. You have Anger the Gods. So it's just making sure that you can kill the creature when it gets played.
And as you can see, that was the power courser. You were able to draw a land off the top and then scry something else. That's essentially drawing 2 cards right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we see another Thoughtseize on top, which I'm sure he will gladly play to get that unflinching courage
and
before those creatures.
With that Veraska in hand, Nick has to feel very safe right now.
Yeah.
Knowing that any Hexproof creature that's equipped will immediately not be a threat by being able to just get rid of the enchantments.
Exactly. And we see a Polychronos being pacified. And yeah, part of what we saw too is Cory's on 8 land.
Yeah, that's too much.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that Cory's not playing an amount of land where having 8, it should be a reasonable thing that should happen to him.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so this was just Cory's mana base abusing him, and not from his own misdeeds of trying to build the deck. It's just sometimes in Magic, your deck doesn't cooperate.
Yeah, sometimes you draw lands. Yeah. Sometimes you just draw lands.
And there's 2 different ways that you get punished for your deck not cooperating. You either get killed quickly, or you get so far behind that you can't recover.
And then just Hexproof on the Reaper.
Yeah, it was just a little do you know your cards test there, which is completely reasonable when you're already this far behind. And I think Nick's going off for a victory lap. I'm not 100% sure.
Food.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually got a food delivery. This isn't just Nick bad mannering. Yeah. Yeah, there's sandwiches delivered.
Yeah, okay.
It's a long tournament. You're here for, a good 4 or 5 hours. You need to eat in between.
Yeah. Okay. I'll buy that.
I've actually lost many a big tournament.
Right.
Because I didn't eat the whole day. We get to like round 6, round 7 at like X1.
Yeah.
And just crash and just start like knocking cards over and not even know what I'm doing.
Yeah, so Nick's just playing the Vraska. It's like this game's gonna end in a few turns no matter what now.
Exactly, top decking Elvish Mystic isn't gonna stop the assassins.
No. Assassins.
Yeah, and that's the thing where Cory's deck has to win in those first 4 turns.
Yeah.
And that
Well, he doesn't have to win, but he has to be very far ahead.
Yeah, he has to, like we saw in game 1, he has to at least get him to the brink.
Yeah.
Where he can start putting together a couple of top decks that'll be able to reach through and finally finish it off. Yeah, so so that's finishing our Swiss.
And
do we have our top 8 list?
We do.
All right, perfect. So with that information, we're going to be knowing that, let's see. So from that match, Cory made the top 8, and he's playing against Nick Delaney. Let's see. So it looks like, so they're actually having their rematch.
Yeah.
And then we have Dane, who we've seen before on Mono Green Monsters.
I believe so.
And he's still playing that deck.
Yeah.
Is playing against Baldeep and his Esper midrange.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting matchup.
It's going to be how much removal can Baldeep draw.
Exactly. And we see so much of Dane's plan is just getting the very, very quick Revered Hunters.
Yeah.
And so when you're able to Detention Sphere, and you'll see that he'll play a lot of them, like in conjunction to one another, building upon that. So yeah, I think this is a matchup where, we definitely are going to, removal's important, and those Detention Spheres are going to be key.
It's because what Dane's deck does is Baldeep's 5-drops of Obzat and Blood Baron are not actually very good in the matchup. He's going to have to rely a lot on a Banisher Priest, and just Banisher Priest is going to have to do a lot of things.
Yeah, so it should be an interesting matchup, and it's about how fast Dane comes out to how much control Ball has.
There are some games where Esper Humans is able to actually just play like a White Weenie strategy, but I don't like that plan against a deck with a lot of Burning Tree Emissaries and Colonian Tuskers. It doesn't usually work well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you can still have a lot of boarding if you deal with the one big one.
Yeah.
And so then we're also having James Whisenhunt taking on Woody Ciskowski.
Yeah.
And our final matchup is Gary Goki versus Stone Cage.
I think it's Keech.
Keech?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
We'll ask him in the future so that we make sure we get that right on stream. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm a person. We both come from that. We're both people who you see our name and it's not pronounced the way that you might think it's seen.
No, my name is always pronounced all the time.
Yeah.
Keck.
Okay, so Stone Keck. Yeah. Exactly. That's the nice thing. Is we have very helpful roaming gamers here.
Okay.
So while we wait for the top 8, we're going to go to the other spoilers.
Okay, perfect. So now that we've cut to the top 8, we'll go back to the spoilers that we were talking about before. And so we were just talking about the dictates, and especially the green dictate, and that brings us. And so that takes us into the gods now. And so, if you've ever seen obvious synergy, where Wizards of the Coast is like, hey, these 2 cards could be friends, it's definitely the dictate and the man himself. Or not, Krufix, God of Horizons.
Yeah.
And so Krufix says that you have no maximum hand size, which isn't particularly splashy.
No, not really.
However, he does say, if unused mana would empty from your mana pool, that mana becomes colorless instead.
So pretty much it's saying, play this in a Sphinx's Revelation.
Exactly. It's anytime that you would like to play X or 11, for instance, this is a perfect situation when you can create double the mana you normally would.
Yeah.
You can Rakdos for return for 20 without a lot of problems.
That usually will win you the game.
Again, the mana's a little awkward because you do have to be blue, green, black, red. But there's ways of doing that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a 5-color deck out there.
Yeah, exactly. If there's a card that's begging for it. And I think that's why it's so necessary to have it turn the mana colorless.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a little too powerful if you can just... it's confusing to keep track of
yes,
as well.
that's going to be very confusing to keep track of.
Yes, people with their 5-colored dice lining up on it.
Yeah, that would be very confusing, keeping track of each mana.
Yeah, but so I'd say that's the god that has me the most excited.
I don't know.
I know
I'm not sold.
I know a lot of people are excited about the other two. I'd say Arona is actually one that's going to see a lot of play.
Iroas, I think?
Aroas?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's all Greek to me.
Pretty much. Actually, every name, I think, has always been wrong. They have very distinct names, and I think, like, Polychronos is actually Peluchronos, and then Xenagos is Xenagos, so... But Xenagos just annoys you, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly, yes. In the end, it is whatever you make it.
Right. As long as you understand what I'm saying. So, I do like the God of Victory, personally. Just being able to... I know this card's similar to Gruul War Chant, but the color combination... With red-green, you're usually just playing one big threat. So they'll double block. They can double block, it's not a big deal. But with this, with a lot of creatures... you want to get through past like Colonian Tusker, let's say, being able to get your Precinct forcing the Precinct Captain to be double blocked is a pretty big deal, allowing you to push through a lot of damage. And it pretty much is really just the god of the race, really. You just race. You have to race that card.
And one of the things not to forget about this god, and this is, I think, something that gets omitted from the gods a lot, it's a 7/4.
Yeah, so it can die to Lash of the Whip. Remember that.
It can die to Lash of the Whip, but it's also a 7/4. Like, if you're putting this in a Boros aggro deck,
right,
and you're playing, Frostburn Weirds,
yes,
and you're playing Boros
Reckoner.
Boros Reckoner, like, it's not that hard to make this guy a guy on turn 4.
It's not, but he's still... On turn 4, he could be a creature, but he still can't attack for another turn.
That is true, but I mean, even having an active 7/4 on turn 5,
yeah,
like, when you're already trying to just get through people, like, that's a big, scary monster that can't be blocked easily.
That's pretty good, but with the decks these days, Mono Black is just going to kill everything, so... Like, do you think this card will allow Boros Reckoner to see more play? Because the card has pretty much been in trade binders for a while.
Yeah, that is the funny thing about Boros Reckoner, is it was a card that was so big, so powerful, and it's very splashy.
It's a good card.
Yeah, but it's funny where we're getting to a place where we have to say a 3/3 for 3 sometimes just isn't good enough anymore.
Well, 3/3 for 3 with First Strike and the ability to really cause some combat headaches.
Exactly. Yeah, but we see all these aggressive decks that still don't bother with it.
Yeah.
Like, we see a Woody's deck, and I'm pretty sure Woody doesn't play that, and it feels like a great mono-red card.
Personally, I think it's better against mono-red than with mono-red.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole, duplicity of it.
That's why it really sucks getting that thing domesticated, because you just lose right there.
Yeah, it's the aggro creature that's best against aggro.
Yeah. I know it was big last format, but that was because removal wasn't good last format.
Yeah, that was the big difference, yeah. Removal was a lot worse, and it can be dealt with so efficiently.
Right, and there was Thragtusk, so trying to go removal just play a lot of removal versus the Thragtusk with Hunt Masters, you're gonna fall behind, and that's where Reckoner was good, being able to essentially, if you did your combat right, he was able to allow you to win a lot of combat steps.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in creature on creature fights, Boros Reckoner is fairly unparalleled.
He might be the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then there's a third god that we're leaving a little bit out of the mix here as well.
Yeah.
That's Ceranos, god of storms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he says that you can reveal the first card you draw.
Yeah, so what he does is you look at the first card, you reveal the first card you're going to draw, and if it's a land, you get a redraw essentially. And if it's not a land, you get to bolt something.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a win if you do, win if you don't sort of situation.
Right, and he's pretty powerful. Like, the best part about this god is you don't actually have to activate him for him to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You could just play him, and then every turn he's gonna grind people.
Yeah, so yeah, he gets his effect, and you can definitely pair it with, for instance, white.
Yeah.
And that way you get, your big sweep, you get your big sweepers, you have Mizium mortars still, you're going to have your detention spheres,
yes.
which are very key. Like, yeah, this is the win condition / value
All right.
in a
It's pretty good.
America control deck.
Right. You can play Ralzeric finally, I think, would be pretty good with this. Being able to just not even have to attack, just lightning bolt people to kill them.
Just going very aggressive with it.
You could just be very... You never have to attack. You could probably win without attack.
Yeah, it definitely does scream counter burn if counter spells were still good.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
Yeah, if counter spells were good, this card would be great.
Counter spells, well, your turn 5 you won't be able to counter anything.
Well, that's the thing is, but when you're playing a Drago type of strategy
Yeah.
where you have so many counter spells that every turn
Right.
you just pass. It's like you'd play this on like turn 12,
Yeah.
and then you'd have like double counter spell backup to it.
No, that card does go well with some counter spells. Personally, Syncope is probably the best counter.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems that our format faces is that there aren't counter spells.
Right.
Like if you just love frustrating somebody that counter every spell that they play, you
Yeah.
don't get to do that anymore.
I would say instead counter, maybe play Frostburn weird because he's very good against aggro decks. So you're able to block aggros, and he works very well with Anger the God being 4 toughness. So actually you just have Supreme Verdict if you're playing white. So
Yeah, so yeah, there are definitely a good variety of red removal spells, as well as the best red-blue removal spell, Turn and Burn, which is a very effective
yeah, that
removal
card's
spell.
pretty good.
Yeah, it kills pretty much anything that wants to.
And the other thing he does is he solves the issue I had with a lot of red decks is being Pelucranos is 5 toughness, and if you're not able to actually counter the Pelucranos, being able to actually kill that without losing a lot of advantage is tough. But with him, if you reveal a non-land card, you can bolt it, and then you can strike the Pelucranos, which seems like a lot of work, but noting that you didn't actually use anything for the first bolt. You just got that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, when you get spell-like effects without having to spend mana,
Yeah.
that's an investment, especially when it's indestructible, so they have
Right.
to revoke existence or do something a little trickier to get rid of it.
Right, and if they have to play Revoke Existence against your control deck, you're pretty happy generally.
Exactly. And so this is going to lead us to the final mechanic that we have here coming up, and that's Constellation.
Yeah.
And so Constellation is one of those keywords that doesn't mean anything. It basically represents whenever you play that card or another enchantment, you get an effect. That's
Well,
what Constellation
Not
tells
play,
you.
but whenever one enters the battlefield.
Thank
So
you.
that's actually pretty big.
Yeah, that's a lot better than play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, yeah, we see the one that's probably getting the most buzz, and the one that we have probably the best reference point for, is going to be Eidolon of Blossoms.
Yeah, that card's gonna be good.
Yes, we have an Enchantress, and I know that Jeremy Hatfield, who we've seen many
Oh, yeah.
times, he has a Legacy Enchantress
Yes,
deck.
he does.
And I know that we talked about this card a little bit, and so it's great that it gets to draw a card on itself.
Right.
But the problem is it doesn't have Hexproof, doesn't have Shroud,
Right.
and it costs 4 mana.
My thoughts is if you're playing a mono black deck, this is where you want to be. Being able to play this and then forcing them to Doomblade it, you're up a card. But the problem I have with this card is when you play this on turn 4 and then they just play a Pelucranos and nothing else matters at that point, that's the problem I have with this card.
Yeah, and I think we may be able to find some sort of a enchantment-based control, or
Yeah.
like using Courser and Crewfix in this want to be friends.
Yes, Courser Crewfix is pretty good on its own. So just play this with Courser.
Yeah. Yes, they're eventually going to find friends to join them in whatever color combinations they decide they want to do.
Me and Jeremy are leaning towards green black. We're gonna play. I think we're thinking of Fated Intervention, the one that brings 2 centaurs into play. So you just draw 2 cards off of it, because it brings 2 enchantment centaurs, which is pretty cool.
That is an interesting one. Something else you can also do with the black is one of the other constellation creatures that we see, and that is the Doomwake Giant.
Yeah.
And so the Doomwake Giant has that same constellation that when it or another enchantment enters play,
Right.
you get to have all of your opponent's creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn.
Yeah. So a one-sided shrivel, effectively.
Exactly. So yeah, the thing is, you can do that effect more than once a turn.
Right.
Like you can
Yeah.
pump it up to Infest. You can pump it up to -3/-3. Like
Yeah.
It's not that hard to get big board wiping states off of that card.
No, it's pretty good. Like, I could see this seeing some play because it is able against like a white wing strider. Just playing this on turn 5, you're probably gonna get the game. They all have 1 toughness generally, so just being able to wipe the board, have a 4/6, and knowing whenever your opponent actually rebuilds, you just have another board wipe right there ready.
Yeah, exactly. And so, thinking about these first 2 cards that we talked about, there's a card that I think you wouldn't normally get that excited about that I think has gained a lot of value just from these 2 cards. And it's a card that we actually saw in the last matchup as well. And that's Nylea's Presence.
That's pretty interesting. I could see I can see where you're going with that.
Because you can turn it into... It already replaces itself.
Right.
You can get another card off. If you want to go 3, 4, 5 color, it's the exact card you want to help fix yourself. And with our giant here, it's a removal spell that cycles.
5 color decks. They're happening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're leaning towards that again. When you have, when you have dual lands for each color twice in a format, you're gonna end up in a lot of 5 color control decks.
Yeah, it's a little risky, but the power is pretty unparalleled.
Yeah, and then as we go in a completely opposite direction from these control decks, that takes us into Whitewater Naiads.
Naiads?
Yeah. I'm just going to call it Whitewater, another Greek word that we're just going to have problems with.
Sure.
But so, his constellation is whenever he or another enchantment enters play, target creature can't be blocked this turn.
That's, like, I'm pretty sure this card's aimed towards limited.
Yeah, it's definitely a limited all-star.
I see it pretty good limited.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, and so you could, if you were to build a more mid-rangey Bant-style Enchantress or Enchantment aggro type of deck, like we were seeing along with what Cory Jones is playing, but replacing red with blue, is that this is a card where if you're playing, Witch Stalkers and you're playing, not the I'm going to kill you on turn 3, but I'm going to gain value and grind you with bigger and better creatures, and you'd probably be playing Eidolon Blossoms in that deck as well.
Yes, Eidolon Blossoms. Any deck trying to go long it can grind.
Yeah, it's where you could build the deck that's like it's mid-rangey where you get value and then you just get to get those last few kills.
Right. That's the dream.
It is the dream. And that's the thing is, we're thought experimenting here.
Yeah, that's true.
It's let's think about what these cards can do for us. And, I had a player once tell me a great piece of advice, and it was, sometimes you need to test a card to find out why it doesn't work, not just to test a card to see if it will work.
I agree with that. I always try to test every card in the set.
Exactly. Because, the card, if you hold a prejudice against a card, sometimes that's the card that you really need, and if you don't keep yourself open to all your options, you're going to pigeonhole yourself, and your decks will be predictable and bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I did play Satyr Nick Smith in my decks for a little while. In the post Born of the Gods John. There were 3 of them in my sideboard. I tried it. It was pretty good, so I was like, let's go with it.
Yeah, every card has its opportunity to have its day.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, so I assume that with the constellations and the flash enchantments, we're probably going to be seeing the 2 other colors with these as well.
Yeah, I would assume so. I would assume, though, at the end, I think black and white generally get the most enchantments. Yeah,
that is true. So, it would not to overly speculate, but I would be surprised if white isn't probably the weakest one.
Why would you say that?
Well, just because white has so much access to so many enchantments that when you're testing that and trying to develop the card, is that the decks that can abuse Constellation the most are the ones that are going to have the most cheap, effective ones.
Right, but I think black has the most good enchantment. Like the Spiteful Return, that new 2/1 is a bestow. You got Herald of Torment, Night Howler even.
Yeah, but those are all fairly aggressive cards.
That's true, and this is trying to get you long-term value.
Yeah, it's a 5-mana card to start getting value. So you're playing all those other enchantments. They're good cards and they're very efficient, but I don't think they feed into 5-mana shrivels.
I think that's not the last Constellation card from black, though.
That might be true too. We're only seeing rare Constellation. This could easily be a.
Tonight is uncommon. Just pointing that out.
Oh, I actually didn't even notice that.
No. Yeah.
Sneaky little rarity symbols there. That is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just an uncommon, which would explain why it feels a little less splashy than the
Yeah,
other two.
that's why I feel it's limited. If it was rare, I think they would drop the mana cost a bit.
Yeah, it's still that's the thing is in limited, it's besides its ability, which is very powerful.
Yeah.
It's a 4/4 for 5.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's big bucks. Like I don't know if this limited format is where 4/4 for 5 is its greatest.
Probably not. You just get killed by winged seed riders anyway.
Exactly, and you get asps blocking you all day.
Yeah, but that's why the Constellation effect ability is very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that was just a little overview of some of the cards that have been spoiled, and
So,
just wanted to put our thoughts in there.
what is your favorite card so far?
My favorite card so far, I really love the flash enchantments, and like I said, I just think the new Heartbeat of Spring is
Yep.
such a splashy effect, and mana's already so good that it's a card that's going to be out of control.
The green one and the blue one definitely seem playable to me. I'm still not convinced on the red one.
Yeah, and part of it is the green one is 5 mana.
Yeah.
So that is still a lot of work to get up to the 5 mana.
Yes, that's true.
But you don't have to spend you spend your turn doing it, but you can do other things with your mana while you're waiting for the turn to spend it.
Okay.
Yeah, because the flash gives you that option of just wait to the end of the turn.
Right.
If there's something else you have to do, you can do it now and you can keep waiting.
I do like that part about them. You can just wait. I think, the blue and the green one, they seem pretty good in like in a Simic deck. You just put them together. You have Prophet of Crewfix. You got Crewfix. You can have all the mana you ever wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just get all of your value off.
No, that's a lot of mana. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. So yeah, now it just becomes we have all this mana. Let's find fun and creative things to do with our mana, and
World
that's
Spine.
going to be part of it as well. Is how, like I said, like World Spine Worm is a little aggressive of an idea of how to spend that mana, but I just like it.
Well, yeah, but if you play Crewfix, you can. It's pretty achievable.
It's very achievable because your mana is not going away.
Right.
But I think we're less likely to see that in most builds, and we're more likely to see our 2 big X spells.
I think just Rev and Return. But the Rev wouldn't actually be that good in the deck because you're just gonna draw more Dictates and more.
But the whole point is you're also going to draw your other big over the top.
You're just gonna
spells.
draw Rakdos Return.
You're going to draw Rakdos Return. You're going to draw whatever ridiculous big fatty is your big fatty of choice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Without going into testing and fine tooth comb.
Right.
Choosing your fatty is a very important part of the decision process as well.
I would agree with that.
And so let's see. Are we still waiting on the top 8? So yeah.
Okay.
So we still have a little time left until we get into our top 8 match. So let's see. So we've talked a little bit about some of the things you've been building on today, or building on with your decks.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like might have passed you by that you experimented with a little bit that you never really picked back up that felt like it had some potential?
I had to think about that.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot. Going with very obscure questions off the top of my head.
Let's see. Really, not really, because I played the Jund deck once Theros was released because I wanted to play 3-color. There's no other reason. I probably should have been playing mono black, but I wanted to play 3-color, so I worked on that deck for a while. Then Born of the Gods came out. I just stuck 4 courses in, and it worked. So
yeah, that's all you really need to do.
Yeah. And then as for mid-range, it took me a few drafts. I ended up making it more Esper aggro, I would say. I play a lot more 2-drops than most other builds. I go with 4 Captain, along with 3 Skyjack, the Soldiers, and the Sovereigns. Most decks, I think they play the 2 Sovereign and like 4 Captain or 4 Skyjack. I didn't like that.
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to ask you is I was talking a little before, and I know that Dolph recently did very well with a similar deck.
Yeah.
And one of the big differences is that he main decked the Supreme Verdicts.
Yes.
And what is your thoughts about not main decking those? Like, first of all, do you play them out of the sideboard?
Well, again, to complement the fact that I play a lot more 2-drops, it's not a good idea to have Supreme Verdict.
Yeah.
If I played, let's say I played Zathra Necromancer or some Sky Knights, possibly, but I just like the fact that some decks just can't handle a turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 play.
Yeah, because, when you have such good, the most efficient creatures at each of those turns.
Right, you got
is that you have a 3-power creature on turn 2, 2-power creature on turn 1,
right,
and essentially a 4-power creature on turn 3.
In Bermoth, yes.
Yeah, so you curve out you can curve out very beautifully in that
Yeah.
deck.
And yeah, so I don't really like if I were not playing that, I would play some number of Verdict because the curve is very awkward,
Yeah.
especially with the amount of tap lands you play. It's pretty common that you don't actually do anything for your first two turns.
Yeah, because a lot of those decks there, because I played an America deck that worked off of that same kind of control that you see in a lot of the other Esper decks now.
Yeah.
And yeah, the problem is a lot of your early game is Azorius Charm and Attention Sphere to stay alive, and
Yeah.
then start resolving your big bombs.
Right.
Yeah, and I think those are two very different views of how you can play the same sort of deck.
Okay.
In game 3.
Yeah, and again, one of the big cards I'm sure that makes that decision a lot easier is when you start adding in those more Banisher Priests.
Oh yeah, once you have Banisher Priest, you're not playing Supreme Verdict.
Exactly. That's one that's gonna prohibit that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I know that seemed like one of the cards, the Banisher Priest, that really made this deck really hum in a lot of the matchups where it's having some problems.
It's removal. You're very, again, the end game of the deck is to play an Obstat and have it go unanswered.
Yeah.
So forcing them to use your removal spells on 3 drops and 2 drops is pretty good for you, as long as you're able to just get your hit in with them and then just play an Obstat, and Obstat will drain them. And simple plan.
And so I know you're also playing in our Arena League as well.
Yes.
And so I know you're doing a little refining on your deck. Like, the season's beginning to wind down, and the final, I believe, is coming up on the 19th of April. I'm right off the top of my head. I'm not 100%
I'm not sure.
I believe it's that, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah, in about a week. That seems right.
So I know you made some recent changes to your deck.
Yeah.
Have you gotten a chance to play any games yet, or have you just made the changes?
I played half a game.
Half a game?
Yes, half a game. I was in good shape though. We weren't top decking on. I had a Hammer of Perforos. So
Hammer of Perforos is good at top decking.
Yeah, you just win. Just win. And that one, especially everything has haste. You draw a land, it's just going to be a creature. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you're top decking, whatever you top deck is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so yeah, the deck is Rakdos. We got the Hammer, you got a Guild, you got a Lightning Strike, some Searing Bloods, Bolts, some Minotaur Tribal in there, and then the Cerebus to top it off.
So let's be very specific about which Cerebus, because there's a couple.
Underworld Cerebus.
Yeah, so the big daddy of Cerebus.
The card that really is, you play it and you just win.
Yeah. And so I think my personal favorite thing about your Cerebus is that when you have a win condition, and an obvious win condition like that, you want it to sparkle a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know that
Yeah.
yours happens to be a foil.
Yeah.
So-
It's foil.
Yeah, so killing people with glamour.
Yeah, foil. It's nice to have a foil Cerebus. Let's just go with that.
Okay. That way, yeah, they know what's killing them.
Right.
It's shining at them.
Interesting, and the Cerebus has not yet. It hasn't died yet. I've only lost. They have to race the Cerebus.
Yeah.
There's actually no way to really kill that thing.
Exactly, yeah. It's 6/5, right?
I guess.
It
Yeah.
has to be triple blocked.
Yeah, 6/6 triple blocked. Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty restricting. We've already seen how good Madcap skills can be.
Yeah.
And when you say, so 2 creatures isn't enough, let's make it 3. That makes for difficult games.
Yeah. That does do that.
And so, one of the things that I know that, because you haven't been playing for that long, and I know that you mostly just play up here at the FNMs.
Right.
And I know that a lot of the players here are kind of trying to pressure you a little more into going down south and playing in some of the Seattle tournaments.
Right. And that's not going to happen for a while.
Well, I'm just saying, there is a sealed PTQ tomorrow down south as well.
Right.
And I know there are a lot of people going down.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing, though, is I know that you're taking your time on it,
Right.
but you're already very far ahead of a lot of the players at your level and where you're heading to.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, when you make that decision, with what we have here at Cosmic, is you have a great resource to really help you develop those skills to play at the highest level.
Right.
And I think, as soon as you're ready to go down to Seattle,
Yeah.
we're going to be here ready to give you every tool you need to be ready for
Yeah.
it.
That's it. When I go to Seattle, it's because I'm going to UW. It's
Exactly.
so,
Exactly. It's walking from school to the site.
Yeah, that's the time I will be able to go to the PTO. Otherwise, that's too long of a drive. I got school to worry about, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the nice thing is there are definitely some Cosmic alums down in Seattle as well.
Yeah.
Because we have so many people that go to from Western here down to UW.
Yeah.
is that there's definitely some people that you can connect up with the Cosmic Connection as well
All right.
down there.
I'll look that up.
And so, have you played Magic Online at all yet?
No,
What are your thoughts on Magic Online as a a form of playing Magic?
I haven't played it yet.
That's a fair point. So, is there anything in particular that makes you feel like you don't want to play? Is it just a cost restriction or time restriction where it's just, do you feel like it'd take too much time?
Time restriction. I try to focus on my schoolwork first.
That is an important thing, yes. Yeah, you got to set up your future here.
Right. See, the plan is set up the future, then I can buy 4 Tarmogoyfs, and then
Then you get serious.
then I get serious here. But yeah, that's the plan.
Alright, perfect. So let me see.
Anything else?
Just trying to think if there's any subjects that are burning on your mind that you want to get some thoughts out on.
Not really.
You know what? I think something that's very telling is I think every person has a very interesting story of how they got into Magic.
Yeah.
So, what was the story of how you ended up finding your way into Magic?
How did I do that? Years ago. No, not really. Years ago. Okay, about a year ago, I decided to just, I don't know. I've been driving for a while, had my license. I decided to actually just go downtown.
Yeah, you have that first independence when you get the car.
Went to a comic book shop and I was like, sure, I'll try this.
Yeah. So it's just a random whim of, this is a game.
Right.
I'm probably smart enough to figure this out. Whatever.
Well, like I've had a little background in card games, but nothing too serious.
Okay.
So
What other card games have you played?
I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, and we actually have Yu-Gi-Ohs here on Saturday too, and that is a great port of just being used to that competitive concept in deck building that, transitions over skills, and very useful skills.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that there's a lot of parallels between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic that have made it an easier transition for you?
Oh, I don't remember the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! So that would be probably no.
To be fair, I've
Actually, there's one.
Yeah.
I learned about card advantage very quickly from Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's the first thing I know.
I'd say is I've judged a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament before, but I don't know the rules to Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm right there with you. I've had interactions with the game, but I don't actually know how it's played.
So how did that go?
I didn't make any direct rulings. There is a legend of a friend of mine who won't be named. So this event happened in the outer ring of Seahawks Stadium, so kind of where you'd walk in to get into the stadium.
Sure.
And so myself and a few other Magic players who were judges at the time were judging this event.
Yeah.
And so one of them was, so I wasn't directly doing rulings, and neither was my friend.
Yeah.
My friend was walking around, and he decided to put himself into a ruling. Is that they were making a play, and there's a card that was being put into the discard pile.
Okay.
And it was a dragon with a cannon on its back.
That's okay.
So my friend sees this going into the discard pile and goes, whoa, no. That card it has a cannon on its back. That thing can't die. And he made this a ruling. So the people running it weren't particularly happy about this ruling. And the end result of that is that the person running the event had him sweep up Seahawks Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite the punishment of sweeping up the outer expanse of a football stadium.
That's what happens when you mess with the card game.
Exactly.
You don't mess with other people's games.
Exactly. It's a sacred thing.
It is. Show some respect.
Yeah. And it was bad for us because we were outsiders in the game. Yeah. So we may not have represented the Magic community as well as we could have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes for a great story though.
That was pretty good.
Because they gave him the little dustpan as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. So.
Yeah.
So have you done very many drafts recently? In the little past?
Oh yes, I had about a month or two ago. I did a successive number of. I think I have 3 drafts in about 3 weeks. So a draft each week. First run was just a whole bunch of heroic white creatures. Got a chain to the rocks. Got the red-white temple. Everything was good. I was a whole bunch of one drops, one wing steed rider, and the snare caster. I made it. I got to the final round. I was undefeated. I played. I think it was Cory, and he had a whole bunch of Omen speakers. So 1-3s beat 1-1s. So.
Exactly. Yeah, they are the beatdown stoppers.
So yeah, he just killed me. And the next one, I drafted a blue-red deck, which was pretty cool. I had a Steam Augury. I had a few nice blue-red cards. Then I opened up a Storm Breath Dragon there, and I had, I think, 4 Nullify in my deck.
Okay. So that sounds a little more of your style of Magic there.
I don't like countering things. I just like killing the thing.
Fair.
But
Yeah.
I did pretty good with that deck. I remember I was going to lose to Luis, I think, in the final round. He played the Fated Intervention, had a bunch of Centaurs, and I had the Thunder Brute as an 8/8 because he paid the tribute, which you probably should. And I top decked the Nimbus Naiad and just gave him flying, and Luis was exactly at 10.
Oh, yeah. The exacties always hurt the most.
Yes, and then the third draft was probably my best deck. I got 3 Ordeal of Thassa, 3 Tormented Hero. I had the, what's his face? The Agent of the Fates, some of the big blue flyers, and I went 0-3 with that deck.
So, did you have enough heroic to make that agent really do its job? I mean, I guess a 3/2 Death Toucher is fine for 3 as well.
3 Ordeal, 2...
Oh yeah, 3 OD. That right there is pretty good.
Yeah, I had at least 1, I remember 1 Aqueous Swarm in there.
Okay.
An Oracle's Insight, a Divination or 2 because I just have to.
Yeah, exactly. If Jaws isn't divinating, then what's the point?
Yeah, my previous league deck had, I think, 4 Divinations and 2 Read the Bones in it.
So you drew cards but didn't actually do anything because you're just drawing more cards?
Yeah, until the last week. I pulled Drown in Sorrow.
Okay.
So then we were good.
So scrying, killing things, and then drawing more cards. Still not winning games yet.
Yeah, I won with Servant of Temrit, so...
Okay. So looks like we have our top 8
Okay.
matches ready. And so it looks like we have Woody on the right with his mono red burn deck. And let's see. And Woody is playing against James Whisenhunt, who we did not actually get to see during the Swiss. I believe we've seen him in the City Championship, and I think he might have been on our first week of streams as well.
Yeah, I think he's playing Bant Control here.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's either Bant or Blue White.
I saw his deck when walking around. I'm pretty sure there were Kioras in it, so it should be Bant.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'd only seen Blue White parts when I'd wandered around.
And you just got Woody playing mono 1 drop.
Exactly. Just choosing which of the many little men would be the first to arrive.
I think he's gonna lead off with the Foundry Street right there.
Yeah, because we see the 1/1 Haste Goblin in hand as well.
Yeah, so he's gonna get most likely 3 points in. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is holding that back so you get the value of the pump on the Foundry Medicine.
And then if he has like a Dragon Mantle or something, that'd be pretty cool too.
Or that guy as well.
Or that works too.
So
Yes.
yeah, and we're gonna have a battalion next turn.
Yeah, against me 3, I'm pretty sure Woody's gonna play that Goblin and have something to trigger heroic. So James not in a good spot right now. He's gonna need a Supreme Verdict, which is generally the case, but that might be too slow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need to kind of chain Detention Sphere with chain Detention Sphere with the Supreme Verdict to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we know that like a Kiora's follower here isn't going to do anything with the fact that we know that there's
I don't think James plays the followers. I think it's just really blue-white, just green for Kiora.
Oh, okay, for Kiora herself.
I think so.
Okay.
That's what most of these Bant decks do.
Gotcha.
And he shocks. And he's gonna D-sphere. It's gonna see what he D-spheres here.
And Woody gives him his choice of the litter.
Yeah, I think he wants probably the Crusader, but I would think the Crusader would be the best. It would be the safest choice. You don't want that card to go off.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Woody's gesture is showing exactly what's frustrating about this is you are Detention Spearing a 1-drop.
And he did take 2 life off doing that.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. So you're basically giving them the attack.
Yeah, you pretty much do give him the attack there. And then,
the Titan Strength to give the 1/1 with haste.
Right.
Yeah, and
then I'm
scribes right to the bottom, which is one of the beautiful things about Strength is not only does it give you, a very large damage output for 1 mana, but you scry 1 too.
Yeah. And then, so far Woody's got, I think, 4 or 5 6/7 power that's able to attack this turn.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see if he plays out more board or if he gonna hold back, say, well, Searing Blood's more or less not very helpful in this
Yeah.
until they get up to an Elsbeth and get that last little bit through.
Right. Yeah, I like the pump here. Just
Yeah, no need to overcommit to the board when it's clear that his only way out of this game is Supreme
Yeah.
Verdicting.
Yeah.
So yeah, no need to commit more.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna put James down to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the players give us more friendly views of their hands. As you can see, James and Woody are both holding the backs of their cards to us, so yeah, it's hard for me to steal information here. Yeah, so we see James decisioning here. And so yeah, it's again, I don't even know if he has the 4th land for sure. Like
Right.
he might just be in a place where he has to detention sphere again,
That's-
which is a bad feeling.
How many cards in Whisenhunt? There are 4.
Yeah, 4 it looks like.
3 or 4. It's gonna be, yeah, there'll be 4 I think on this draw step. So, if you're James, you're gonna have to assume that's probably all gas. So
Okay, and is that a last breath?
it's a last breath.
Yeah, so yeah, we see Woody going up to 22, 23 even. Sorry, it's 4 life for last
Yes,
breath.
that's pretty relevant. No, not really.
It may be at some point, just not right now.
Mm.
And so we see another Titan
That's
Strength
right.
making another
And
token.
I don't think there's anything in the blue decks that 1-drop.
Yeah, and we know that he has
Or
the
1 mana.
1/1 with haste as well here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's 7 exactly.
That's lethal. Yeah, once again, exacties.
Gotta like the way Woody sculpted that.
Exactly. Yeah, and one of the nice things about Woody's deck as well is besides the fact that you get to win games overwhelmingly because it's so powerful,
Yeah.
you get to win them quick too.
Right. That's nice.
So if you want to go to get a McDonald's run, it's not that hard to play your match, go get some food,
Yeah.
hang out, play league game, and then go to your
Right.
next match.
That's true.
Where if we're seeing games like Rosie and Nick's mirror match is like,
Well, that
know,
was actually pretty fast.
it was pretty fast because of mana issues coming up.
Yeah.
Let's say is typically that matchup is like you're gonna finish your match and then just immediately go into your next match.
Right.
So there is a great advantage of having that aggressive deck because it's less mentally taxing.
Oh yeah, it is. It's there's definitely skill involved with it. It's not just attack. Like Woody was very patient with that the 1/1 Goblin deck.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which is very nice. He just pretty much he played around Verdict, and even if James Verdict, he was still not in a very good position.
Yeah, because he was able to get through a lot of damage without having to commit too much to the board.
Right. Like Woody could essentially he could just play the Goblin, Titan Strike the Goblin. That's 4 more, and then any Lightning Strike is lethal.
Yeah, and that is the thing is, yeah, these very aggressive decks have problems. But so what we're gonna do right now is we've been running for a while, so we're gonna just restart, take down the stream for about 15-30 seconds, just get everything working at its best, so that our stream will be as high quality as possible for you guys. So we'll be back in a few seconds.